Say, saying why, tears and I could have been more smart about it. Could have cherished me and then friend. Now it's the ending, and I get no reckoning without it. So steady. You too young. Yeah, oh, baby, yeah, something we got to call. Yeah, I'm alright. Too young. Yeah, stay home. Baby, you don't have to cry. That I will. Yes, man, I am. So we can get, but you brought me tired. You make it, because baby, I'm better than a bad boy. Smiling cause you are. I will. I'll come here. It's that I am. Help from you. Else for rest. Been good for rest. You are, you right away. Feel I'll freak you right away. No, Tom, I need to make the best again. What's next again? And to forget. Oh, yeah. And I will. Maybe it's better I is. Else forever. Did you not think? After the princess I've been, you know, it's what's he got on my locket. Now, yo, tell me keep this anonymous. You want me when oh, why take the rubber off? Did you make it? Maybe I'm better than it. Smiling cause you it's better than me. Yeah, it's already good. That she get it from mama. I'ma say you fucking right, your body in this humble. Don't be in the humble type of time. Ease you down, cause I'm trying to go up to the better. Just want to see. I think we deserve to fight. Top of the memory. I'm ready to see. Ladies, it's pimps tonight. Give it a dream. Stay with you. Looking on deep in my bag like a grandma with a peppermint. Say, well, she's snuggling. That's just cause I'm having sex. And there's a relevant, but I ain't find a heat to bring my head. Anything on my head. I know. Another scorching hot day. So do your best to keep cool. We have to roll down the window, grab some ice cream, Stick your head in the freezer, anything you can to beat this heat. And even though it may be hot, here's some even hotter tunes coming your way. I back, you know. See, little figure, fucking with rich nigga, get your money tonight. Them diamonds gone. So, so, take that shit off. So, so, imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
But yeah, I guess we can move tonight. I'll see you later. You came my clothes and in a dangerous beginning. There's no fun. To show me, can you blow my Nobody. I don't get I gotta go to face. Can you blow my nobody? Remember that restaurant that
No, it's my sister. I don't even roll like.
Right. All right. All right. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can't hear me. How y'all feeling? So for those that took part in the recent session, how y'all feeling? Are y'all scared? But are you also very optimistic? Are you opportunistic? That's what I like to hear. Shout outs to the people at home or at work, wherever you are watching virtually. We're back. All right. So we're about to get this started. So I just want to let you know, moving forward, all gas, no brakes. So in between the 4 sessions, we'll take like 10, 15. But we're going to go through. We're going to bring this home, okay? You guys enjoyed the summit? That's what's up. All right, so this one's gonna actually be very, very dope. Like, if you like, so the folks that didn't get to participate in the session upstairs, trust and believe this next session is gonna be just as dope. You're in for a very, very dope treat. This person should be celebrated, for sure. And the magical work that she is doing, I'm a fan of. And I'm really, really excited for what she's going to discuss and what she's going to bring to the plate. I want you guys to think about this in the sense of, looking at it from the sense of opportunity of either one, if it interests you, to how is it that you can get involved? How is it that you become more knowledgeable? And on top of that, how is it that you could also have a piece of it? Make sense? You guys want me to turn my chair this way so that way you guys are not really seeing my back? I'll be okay. Better? Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring up none other than the wonderful Sierra Clouse of Barclow Ventures. We're gonna get quantum in this bad boy. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you got it. Press and hold. Okay, so before we jump into it, because I just want to jump in, but they don't know who you are. So can I let you flex? I want you to flex on them. Is that possible?
We can do a little.
Stun on them. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sierra Clouse. I'm a founding partner at Barclow Venture Studio. We are one of 7 venture studios in the whole world that focuses on future compute and intelligence and infrastructure. Of the other 6, 2 of them, Quiet Ventures, is part of our Fund 2 backing through a group called Qubits Ventures. And the other one is our sister studio called Kendra Venture Studio in India. We launched this year as part of Qubits Ventures Fund 2 strategy. Because when they did Fund 1, there was a lot going on with quantum and biological compute things like Neuralink, that kind of thing. But they felt like it was too early to really go for it with their strategy of how to commercialize these things. So our big thing at Barklow, research, roadmap, revenue. We're going to get into that, right?
Yep.
So that's what they wanted engines to do around the world. And so we're in the Western Hemisphere, our sister studio's in the Eastern Hemisphere. And when we were doing our marketing and all of that stuff around this kind of landscaping work, my fund partner and my co-founder wanted me to make sure I let you guys know that I'm the only Black woman in the world who works on these technologies and runs a venture studio.
I think to be celebrating that a little bit louder, don't you think? There's only 7 firms, and you're the only Black founder.
Managing partner.
Like, I don't think that people understand like the gravity behind that, especially as serving as the managing partner
Yeah.
at a venture-backed firm. Can you break that down? Like, can you help them understand the gravity behind that?
Yeah, in a world where like female founders are still barely getting backed at all, you see very few female managing partners, and you especially tend to see fewer of them in other countries where it tends to be more male-dominated leadership in tech roles, investing, that kind of thing, right? So to be a managing partner and to launch something like this and to have the backing of this group, it is pretty significant. It's very strategic on the part of the people backing us and all of that. My co-founder is Latino and my fund partner is Filipino. And one of the things he had said to us was, what I'm doing in the Philippines with the Filipino Quantum Consortium, all that stuff, he goes, I fully expect you guys to go back and make sure we lift as we climb, right?
Yep.
And so he's somebody who left that blueprint for us. And yeah, it's really talk about an opportunity of a lifetime. So this is my wealth strategy that I'm all in on.
Nice.
So Barklow is a combination of my co-founder, Johnny Berrigan's last name, and my current last name is Klouse. That's my married name. I have 3 kids, 15, 13, and 12. Me and their dad are no longer together. I'm keeping the name until, we do what the other paperwork stuff.
All right.
School's a little easier, but it's still named Barklow because the way that the venture studio works is that in our model, we have an advisory side. So we'll have the revenue and valuation from the practice, and we use that to subsidize what you heard is all of the risk and things on the venture side. And then we de-risk it further because we can create a flywheel to paid pilot, pipeline conversion, case study as a service, test bed services for our portfolio companies. So Johnny and I, with the backing of Cubits Ventures, we own this advisory arm, but we also are on the cap table for all of the companies that run through our studio.
Dope.
As well as the IP engine, et cetera. So it's called Barklow because for his kids and mine, that's what goes into the trust.
That's what's up. All right, so let's get deep into it. So, because I'm probably sure that there's a lot of folks that don't understand quantum computing, don't understand quantum. They probably think that it's some type of pipe dream. Okay, let's separate the truth from the false.
Yes. So a quick little primer here. I learned that you got to have to do in America because, not all of us were math elites, not all of us did so great in physics, right? So let's just start with what quantum is, right? So quantum isn't some sort of marketing term, some made up thing, right? Quantum comes from quantum physics as opposed to classical physics, right? So there were things that classical physics could not explain or understand, like black body radiation and these sorts of things. Certain rules were supposed to hold in the classic physics model that said, like, there's organic matter, there is inorganic matter. Inorganic matter doesn't move, it's dead, right? Yeah. But when you started looking at what's at the quanta, so Max Planck, he used that Latin word quanta to mean the smallest, teeniest, tiniest unit, everything's moving. Everything is emitting radiation, everything has energy, everything. And so when you start looking at it that way, it starts explaining things that classic physics can't, right? So here's my little quick lesson. If you took some light, a beam of sunshine, light that comes from the sun is about 8 minutes old, right? If you took that sunlight and you slice it up into the teeniest, tiniest quantum fraction, who knows what you would have? A photon. And that's how you get photonics. You use photonics. Who's used a Blu-ray? You use photonics, right? If you could take the electricity that's in this room right now, slice up to this teeniest, tiniest quantum bit, you would get electrons. Yep, you get electrons. If you were to slice up a human into the teeniest, tiniest quantum bit, you would have atoms. So that's your quantum. Easy. That's the quantum science lesson, right? So that's the physics of it, right? So where do we get into the tech?
Yep.
Right. So if you take nothing out of here today, just don't do the American thing, don't do the investor thing where you think quantum is just computers. I beg of you, because the world that I just described to you of quantum science, the technologies that come from science are way more than a computer or a chip or a qubit. Okay. So most of you hear about quantum computing.
Yep.
And that's, once again, that's because that's what people see in the market, et cetera. That's people get more socialized too. That's just one of 4 technology applications of what we're talking about. Does anybody know the other 3? They are sensing,
Yep.
communication, and simulation.
There you go.
So there's 4, right? So compute is just one of them, right?
Okay.
And when you get into compute, let's talk about quantum computers, right? So similar thing, physics, classic computers run into these problems.
Yep.
That just like quantum, it's like, okay, well, what can quantum do, right? Well, you have a bit, you know about a bit, right? A qubit is basically this thing that does applied quantum mechanics of superposition. So binary code is 0 or 1, right?
Ones and zeros.
Zeros, right? That matrix code, you all see the matrix, all that green, the zeros and the ones. That's what I tell people. That's it, the zeros and the ones, right? But what quantum does that makes it very different, special at the compute level is it's 0 and 1 at the same time.
Nice.
That uses a phenomenon in quantum physics called superposition. And when you have 0 and 1 at the same time, for all you mathematicians and physics and theoretical folks out there, you typically have like a teeny tiny sliver of infinity. And all the decimals that go all the way out between 0 to 1.
Yep.
You have infinity, right? So if I take a little slice of infinity in this qubit, I get it just so, and then I put it next to another one and another one, and another one, I'm able to compute and calculate all kinds of things that I would never have to deterministically code myself.
Nice.
And so why do people why do people say, oh man, like it feels like it's years away? I hear a lot of people say that, and they're they don't really say that, right? But the reason why there are technical people who say this is going to take some time to figure out is because superposition is hard.
Yeah.
The right pressure, the right temperature, a clean room, the right materials, everything. It's a very finicky, quantum states are very finicky, right? So what they're really saying is, I'm not sure if we know the materials, and how you would be able to do that in a way that's like scalable, cheap, accessible, or if that would even make sense. So that's what people are talking about. So when they talk about logical qubits, they're talking about those qubits, those little slices of compute infinity you put next to each other. And when they talk about noise, right? All of that infinity, imagine it's just like all of them got their own little symphony going on. And all these conditions have to be the maestro to get it all together. That's how you get the noise. They call that quantum noise. So how do you stabilize that so it can continue to compute and perform?
Yeah.
Error correction, right?
Yeah.
It's the noise, you can't get rid of all of it, right? So they measure error correction, how close are we getting?
Yep.
Fault tolerance is ultimately what people are trying to get at with that.
Okay.
So those are some key terms and words, phrases you might have heard thrown out there, and that's the breakdown for compute.
Yeah. So we're currently we're currently in this phase where quantum is consistently being compared to AI. And it wasn't so long ago where once upon a time people thought that AI was a pipe dream. Can you?
Yes, I can. Let me tell you something. If you are one of those people, those people, and if I would have known about NVIDIA, if I would have known about, I would have been in there, man. You guys know.
I hear it too many times.
The problem is that, no, homie, because if you're talking about quantum is this and quantum is that off of Google search of what Kramer said, no, you wouldn't. You would never never seen it come at all, right? So I'll never sit with that.
Okay, good.
Perception, right? Is like I talk to people like this. There's actually some of our investors and design partners and clients in our pipeline. They said we missed it on cloud. We missed it on AI. We are not going to miss this again.
Good.
Help us, right? So there's two answers, kind of building off of the VIP session, I can give you for why quantum and AI are not the same thing.
Okay.
One is the technical. So if you think about macro technologies, think of a bit of a pyramid. And at the foundation, you have compute and infrastructure, right? So this is data centers, this is chips, this is your device, right? And that's the thing that does the computing, right? Above that, you have data and intelligence. So compute in the tech stack, macro stack, lives at the bottom, and intelligence lives in the middle. So AI is in the middle. And on top of that, you have the front end of apps, agents, websites, right?
Yep.
And underpinning all of it, you have these layers of security, et cetera, right? It's the way to think about it. Quantum lives at the compute level. And the thing about compute, and quantum is, we'll get to this in a second, but quantum is just like one of like a dozen types of compute.
There you go.
That's why we say future compute. Because the compute needs to format, needs to match function, right? Your compute needs to match what kind of intelligence are you trying to have and what kind of experiences you're trying to have for your end user, right?
Yeah.
So for AI, how many of you, there's a bit of a data center rush right now, a critical minerals rush in AI, right?
Yes.
So that was kind of silly and preventable. If you knew who to talk to besides the pitch decks and the MBA people and the PE people, why? Because we knew this from the .com era, right? Your intelligence can never outrun your compute.
Yes.
You put a jacuzzi in your house, your utility bill going up. I mean, right?
Facts.
Right? Like that's, you put a whole movie theater in there, you know, that kind of thing, right? So what happened was we allowed people to get really excited about the promise and all that with AI, which is great. But if you just, you know, how many of you guys have ever seen the AWS or Azure cloud compute calculators? Anybody see those? Okay. So Azure and AWS, for example, for cloud, another type of the dozen types of computing.
Yeah.
Put in there what you're trying to do, how much you want to use, and it'll run it back for you.
Yeah.
And this is it monthly if you want to do right as you go SaaS, right? Nobody decided that in the diligence process for a lot of this AI stuff that we needed to do that for compute. But if you looked at the models, if you look at the cost to serve, if you look at the projections of these startups, different companies, if they were even half right about this level of adoption, they would have been known that utility bill was going up.
And then ultimately, a lot of the things that we're seeing in utility companies, we would have already been massively prepared for those.
Exactly. And the pricing models, we would be prepared for the price shocks that are coming.
Gotcha.
A lot of this stuff with AI.
So like, for example, to break it down for folks, so let me get this straight. So for example, what we're seeing on the AI side, you know, this boom of AI and data centers requires a lot of energy. From that energy, now we're going into we're looking at utility companies in which that their bills are massive and they have to like literally retool, when all along they could have done that from the get-go had they actually have the data.
Yeah, and this is kind of why we call what our thesis is we think the next 25 years is the convergence era. And we call it that because that pyramid, you can't just be like, my AI is great, somebody else will figure out compute. No, they won't.
Nah.
No, it's just like you said, oh, I put this jacuzzi in, but somebody else is going to cover the bill for the, no. Or you know, every time my friends get in the jacuzzi, I'll just charge them a little extra when they come to my house, right?
We're charging $25 covers.
That's right, to get into the jacuzzi, right? To get into the model. So that's like the technical explanation of they live in different places of the stack, right? But the more compute and the right kind of compute you have, it gives you this type of intelligence and data. And the more data intelligence that you have, the more you can understand what kind of compute that you need.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So let's talk about the opportunity, right? So like, first things first, what are some of the things that are on the forefront that we think that quantum is going to probably solve? Like that, what do you think are going to be some of the first things that quantum is going to solve?
So I think it's really important to think of quantum technologies, those 4 different types, the compute, sensing, communication, and simulation, because there's also an element of quantum that lives at that intelligence level too. There's like QAI, all that, what do you do with the simulation, right? So that, with that in mind, another really helpful way to think about these future technologies, all of them is, if you're in the VIP session, humans have this thing where when we get something new, we're going to make that a tool, a weapon, and figure out the safeguards. That's what we do.
Say that again.
We, as humanity, whether it's fire, whether it's the wheel, whether it's the cotton gin, the locomotive, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Tool, weapon, safeguard, right?
Yes.
So that's a very important thing to think about as we go into this very build as you go sort of future with a very lumpy distribution of talent, resources, awareness of that, right?
Yeah.
So I say that because quantum is one of those things, going back to solutions, right? Quantum is one of those things where you can play offense with it with solutions. It's good at AI parameter tuning.
Yeah.
It's good at optimization. It's good at traffic management. It's good at really like dynamic, like it's great. We're really into space tech, right?
I'm gonna say where things become a living organism with itself.
That's right. Yeah. It's great for that kind of stuff. We need to simulate all this kind of crazy stuff for the human genome. Like awesome. Right. But there's a flip side of quantum, which is even if you don't believe in it, don't want to use it, don't want to play offense, you better play defense. How many of you have heard of Q-Day or Q2K?
Not many people, so you're gonna have to explain it to them.
All right. So Q-Day or Q2K, some people call it, and I'll get to why in a moment, is the day when quantum computers, remember all those qubits and everything? Our internet security, all this stuff runs on encryption. And there will be a quantum computer that will be able to break it, right? How many of you seen The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch? Right?
Y'all don't watch movies. Hell, the movies will tell y'all the future.
I was gonna say it. Yeah, clock it. So it's a story of Alan Turing.
Yep.
The Turing machine, the computer. So British Secret Service took a whole bunch of cryptographers, mathematicians. They put an aptitude test in the newspaper. Hit us up if you can solve this, right? Because the Germans at the time, it was World War II, and the Germans had this encryption thing called Enigma. And Enigma was nasty work. Enigma was how they encrypted all their radio communications back then. And the thing about Enigma is that they were able to sneak out a machine, like a device, to help decrypt it. But the problem is if you didn't know the cipher, then you couldn't understand what the communications were. So they had the box and all that, and they got all these mathematicians and cryptographers, all that to get together by hand with paper. And what made Enigma so nasty was when the clock struck midnight every night, it would reset itself. So they spent by hand computing. Everybody on different parts of it. But the problem is that you guys know how numbers work. The probability of them striking upon the right number set, even within the 24 hours across 50 people, the odds of that were crazy low, but they had to try.
Yep.
So Alan Turing, considered one of like the godfathers of computing, all that, he didn't always play well with other people that he's on the spectrums, low key. You see Benedict Cumberbatch act like, he's like, you know what? Everybody get out of my way. I have an idea.
I got this.
I got this, right? And he comes to the queen, the crown. He says, ask the crown, I need all this money. I need cords. I need knobs. They're like, for what? He says, I'm going to try something. What you see him do in the movie depicts is that he sets up all these dials to go through 0 through 9.
Yep.
Right. And he has them just running and running and running. And on the back end, he has a system like, all that. And it runs and runs. It runs way more combination in this array of a grid of a machine that any humans could ever do by hand. And not only that, it validates it. So it's tied to the machine. So if it doesn't work, it kicks it back.
Yep.
Right? It's a form of analog computing kind of thing, right? And then one day, they all clicked. And he was able to read across all of it. This is a cipher today to break the German Nazis' encryption. They put it in. And from there, they could see where they were attacking, who they were going after, who they could position. It changed the course of the war.
Wait a minute. Time out. So we're saying that essentially that quantum computing is going to be that strong. I think we're at currently at what, 128, 256 encryption. So think about like, so for the folks in the room, because you're like, what, Mark, what does this mean? Right? Think about all financial systems that are tied to encryption. So your financial data, your health data, and any other information in between that systems collect about you. Imagine the day that quantum breaks that. And we haven't even talked about, like, for example, government systems that are also,
Well, and you know what? This is important, right? And that's why I share that story with you, because what if they let the market decide when to break Enigma?
I is better.
The market would be like, I don't know about this Turing guy. And, you know, even if we figure it out, you know, I'm not sure if we want to send people over there to fight the Nazis anyway. Right?
Like quarterly report on this?
I mean, what's your progress, right? Like we would be cooked, right? It's the
Yes.
same thing with the Manhattan Project. With like that was going on in parallel, right? Where we'd probably all be speaking German if we let the market decide when we should care about things getting decrypted, right? Or right, like be in trouble. And so what we're talking about right now is playing defense. There's this thing called post-quantum cryptography, right? So we have frameworks. Well, Canada, the UK, the EU frameworks. We have the NIST framework. We're going to talk a little bit about the significant US disadvantage and what we can do with that.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean by no matter what, you got to play defense. It's kind of like Y2K. People were like, oh yeah, Y2K. It was just the cash register because people didn't have a computer back then.
I was going out buying up water.
I think I need this for Y2K, right? But that was different than when everybody had so much personal information, their fingerprint, their face, and a computer in their pocket.
Yeah.
Completely different risk. And also, actors don't care what investors think.
No, they don't.
They don't care about roadmaps. They don't care about any of that. In fact, they love for people to believe this is longer because then they won't prepare.
And they love it when people tell them that something is secure because it's like, okay, challenge accepted.
Right. And they love when people brag about how ignorant they are about things on the internet.
Yeah.
Because you literally can run a script to scrape all that and be like, ooh, that's a lick. Because like a lot of people don't think like bad guys. Like investors don't think like bad guys.
There was this thing called a financial crisis. And, the bad guys that were getting the CDOs and.
I mean, there's Goldman Sachs bad guys, and there's Lex Luthor.
Okay, that's fair.
Lex Luthor. I'm not talking about the Ebenezer Scrooges and all that. I'm talking about I think I can take on a Kryptonian level of guy.
Got it.
Those kind of people.
Okay, so I guess the question is now, what is on your horizon as Barklow Ventures? What are you guys looking at? What is it that you're investing in? And, what is it that you guys are seeing that's currently being built that literally what excites you, one, and what scares you? So I'm actually the same, I'm going to ask the same questions that I just asked, our good friend from upstairs. What excites you? What scares you?
Yeah, let's start with the excitement. So remember I said quantum is just one of a dozen and growing types of compute?
Yep.
Let's talk about them. You have high performance compute, which sounds like what it is. AWS is doing crazy things for exascale compute in space with NASA. We are now in the realm of orbital, terrestrial, and aquatic solutions.
Nice.
We have mapped, I'm not sure how many of you know, but we've actually mapped more of the cosmos than we have of our own oceans.
Wow.
That's on the table now. With incredible precision. So that's exciting. Where do we play with that? So we run on a 4Cs model called our operating system, our 4Cs ecosystem model. Shout out to the homie, talk about how can you envision a system and how you do it. That's how we envision it. So we have cohort, content, community, and coaching. So the cohort piece, that's the part that needs to be in scope and in thesis for Qubits Ventures, because that's we taking their money and giving it to those startups, right?
Yeah.
Into our idea engine. So to be in thesis for them, it needs to match our future compute, future intelligence, future device, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We've been really excited because we just launched this year and we have some really incredible founders in the mix for that. So both on the idea side and the founder side, we started talking to a guy who's working on AI satellite imagery processing. And one of the things we say, and this is a great kind of, you want to talk about use case, traction, practical, tactical, what can these technologies make faster, cheaper, better, possible?
Nice.
Simple, right?
Yeah.
So he said, okay, so faster, cheaper, better. I would love some of that simulation help to lower my cost to serve with these AI models.
Yeah.
Especially with this visual data and all of that.
Yes.
That would be great for my long-term.
Yeah. So now we're going text, visual, voice. So yeah.
Yeah. And just so somebody like him and his solution, who are his customers, port authorities.
Gotcha.
Because they want to avoid another Suez Canal situation because they literally could see that coming from the eye in the sky, right? Emergency recovery. So you can see, so there's the NOAA radar, et cetera, tracking for storms and wildfire. You can see all of that, but you can also see visual confirmation and
Got it.
get that way more coordinated from space, right? To really see like what the damage is. And now we're starting to get these systems that can see like even into like tunnels. Right. So anyway, so he says, so that he goes, but you know, he goes, possible, like that we could maybe talk about like for the studio, an idea. He's like, these satellites have all these sensors on them. Right. How many of you heard of dark data? Anybody heard dark data?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So dark data is a type of data where you made a thing, you made an agent, you have a sensor, you have all this stuff, but because SAP, Oracle, whatever tools, there are bings and boops and kinds of things, you can't put it in a data lake together.
Correct.
Can't read it. Call it dark data. It includes data exhaust just by transacting and doing these things. Very valuable data, but a lot to look through, a lot to sift through, a lot to map, right? So basically what he's saying is there's the sensor data though that's on these satellites. It's how they position themselves in orbit. It's how you track them, right?
Yeah.
But they're also picking up on the dark data side where they are relative to a bunch of other space junk and objects in space. So if you could take that data across all the sensors, across all of a satellite network, and every second calculate the physics word problem of what's near them and create a threshold of how close something can get, you now have an orbital data or orbital collision prevention system.
Nice. So, for example, if you're sending machines up in space, then essentially you can navigate from technically your living room.
Yeah, you'll be in that drone zone, but you know, it's also a feedback loop because if you can figure that kind of sensor-based word problem simulation system and alert people, that's a feedback loop into autonomous vehicles.
Yes.
Same concept, right?
You can also use those autonomous vehicles to map the city.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody who was talking about it was actually somebody from PSE. They're talking about those electric school buses.
Yep.
And in summertime when the grid is spiked, they're all charged up. They're like, we can actually use the buses as batteries to help the grid stay resilient for summer air conditioning. I mean, it's cool. There's a lot of cool stuff. So that's like one example of the kind of stuff that we get really excited about. They're putting data centers in space already. They got space junk removal. There's actually 2 startups here into that. Yeah, so Star Cloud, hey Bill. So Star Cloud, they're doing orbital data centers. That's a Seattle startup here.
Yes, it is.
People, absolutely brilliant people. There was a space tech like superiority summit here that Fuse put on, and I didn't see nearly enough of us there. And we're going to talk about
We'll talk about a little bit. We can talk about, but first, like, do you guys understand what that means? Like, you have data centers in space. Like we are just we're like I'm thinking like as it pertains to data center, like and cloud compute for just the basics of here on Earth. You know, we finally cracked the surface. We finally crossed over the 50% marker as it pertains to data centers being used. So now that we crossed over that, now we're also in, you know, arenas. So now that's probably like the water is freezing cold.
Oh, you don't even need water.
No. I'm saying it remains the opportunity. Like, so I'm putting it in investor terms for folks out there. You know, when the water gets boiling, then you realize, like, look, I need to get up out of this. I need to get up out of this hot tub, so to speak. When it's cold, then essentially everything itself hasn't thawed itself out yet. So, which means that the rest of the market hasn't caught on. So, I think that what you're talking about, though, is like amazing because of the fact is especially if we're going to continue to use, you know, these tools to not only just map, but also be able to help us as it pertains to discovery. But I think it's also going to lead us towards also living as it pertains to living on these other planets and making them habitable.
Yeah. So I get to work with that's another thing exciting. I get to work with brilliant people. And some of these galaxy brain folks, there's a guy, his name is Dr. Alex Leyendecker, good friend of mine. He's awesome. He's actually going to be coming to town for something we're putting on. But he works with astronaut doctors, and they have
Astronaut doctors, like, yo, it's like in space or something.
More like, what did that radiation do to you, homie?
Oh, that's a
how you doing? How's your skin? How's your nether? How's your
facts?
The doctors, right?
Okay.
So these are the folks where I talk to somebody like Dr. Leyendecker, and he's like, I know Elon got people excited about traveling into space. He goes, but here's the thing. Some people need a doctor's note and clearance for their blood pressure, edema, all that to travel commercial air. right?
Yeah.
We don't even know what kind of clearance we need from a doctor for people to go up there on these trips and not accidentally sterilize themselves. We're still working that out.
Mm,
It's nice to know the people working that out.
that is very nice.
They actually have 50 years of these experiments for humanity to understand plants, food, procreation, all of that kind of stuff.
Can I ask a question? Real talk, because I'm gonna make it plain for the cousins in the room. Shall I? Can I do that for y'all? Okay, so we're talking like because you guys are witnessing us upstairs, like up on the stage, like just purely geeking out, and you're like, I want to geek out too. Um, because to me, this is like highly fascinating in the sense that, what was versus what will be. Y'all probably heard me say that before. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that what will be is now like what is happening. And I guess the question is like, what do you think is that disconnect of, because one, it's amazing to me about how big of an opportunity that this is. And of course, why is it that I don't see many of us, jumping into this space, especially since it's still very much like the party hasn't even started yet. It's just getting started.
Yeah, I think part of it is we need to travel more.
That's a fact.
Like we need passports stamped. Like
You got Corey out here and living in Thailand.
I know, right? Yeah, we need we really do because I got a chance to talk to some of you, and this is something I do point out to people because when it comes to macro trends in socioeconomic sort of things, like this is just in an apolitical way,
Yeah.
where people place their bets, you fast forward, you either see people reaping or you see a reckoning.
Facts.
Right? So 25 or 30 years ago, we decided that STEM was for super special kids.
I remember that, the STEM schools and everything else.
And everywhere else in the world said, I want an army of engineers. I want the housewives. I want the Brahmin housewives in India. I want to be able to flex and say, my daughter-in-law has a mechanical engineering degree out of Hyderabad. I actually knew a family like this. Right?
Yeah.
Like they take it that seriously.
Oh, that's a fact.
Right? And so fast forward 25, 30 years, what do you got?
They're leading the industries.
Yeah. And so like these sorts of conversations, like we talk a lot at Barklow. So one of those other pillars, right? It's content and community. Why? Because we have before they used to talk about digital literacy, we're finding now very smart people, passionate people, investors, people doing well. We lack future fluency because you guys may have heard, we have a culture that values entertainment over education. And we mistake our entertainment for our education.
I'll touch on that later.
But I think that's part of it. I think the other thing too is one of our other like Barklow kind of mantras, like one of our core principles is names and faces over hype and headlines.
Say that one more time.
Names and faces over hype and headlines. Cousins, look, cousins. A lot of y'all hopped a flight because you knew a name and a face that was part of a community. And when you saw a hype or a headline, you came through.
Is that true? There.
Yeah.
I think, so what you're saying is that we need to be, just as much as we champion like the folks that entertain us, we need to also be championing the folks in which that are also going to further us.
Absolutely. I'm gonna sound a little bit like, who knows who Bob Moses is?
Dang, come on.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So what I'm going to need everybody to do, because I'm tapping back in on this too, please look up Bob Moses in a book called Radical Equations. Bob Moses had a nonprofit. He was one of the OG civil rights guys, but you probably haven't heard of him in history because he wasn't marching down the streets. He was giving people math workbooks.
Facts.
Right? And said, don't let those IQ tests, don't let anybody say that you can get a different answer to that, like, because you're what, right? Because you come from what? Math is math. Come on.
Exactly. Math doesn't see color.
So even like this was on the heels of, the movie Hidden Figures, the computers, the women by hand doing the calculations for those NASA breakthroughs, right?
Yes.
He was a big believer that our prosperity and our civil rights were a direct function of mathematical literacy. because math and science were the one thing that you could count on being the tip of the spear for whatever would happen next. And if you couldn't even understand what was going on or follow along, how could you invest? How could you get hired? How could you make a good purchasing decision? And now in this day and age, how do you even know how to put your privacy settings on, you know?
So I guess the question is like, because I think that the message as it pertains to what Barklow is doing and what you're doing is phenomenal. So what you're saying is that the stages need to become bigger. We need to make the stages bigger.
Absolutely. And we should not wait on the market as a lagging indicator to address what we're talking about, species level things.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do a little quick exercise I like to do with folks. If everybody wants to close their eyes or just picture, however you visualize. If you picture a future that you want to live in, kind of future you want to work, play, love, age, raise kids in. And in that future, humanity's most brilliant minds and all the promises of science and technology, they rise to the occasion, not just of this world, you're building this world, but all the challenges facing us today.
Mm.
Everybody have in their head what that would be like, or just thinking about it? How many of you pictured enterprise SaaS?
Damn.
And this is it, right? This is why, like, one person, if I could say it succinctly, they're like, Sierra, if you could just sum it up, kind of a version of what you said. Sierra, what are you not getting here?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in this country? Like, what's that? I said, Americans we treat this, the quantum technology space, all of it, we treat these things as an investment class. The rest of the world treats them as species level imperatives.
Say that again.
Americans treat this moment of the future, these deep technology, frontier tech, all of this stuff, we treat them as investment classes and not a species level imperative.
Okay, so break that down for us.
Yeah, so it was kind of talked about earlier. I mean, like my VC friends were up there. I know Kirby and like Joaquin, all of them, right? That's why they're like, I do enterprise SaaS because that's product market fit, that's TAM, that's SOM, that's pipeline, that's conversion or whatever, right? We talked about Enigma, right? We talked about Q-Day, right? What's the market valuation on the one ring that could rule them all?
I know of a commercial that says priceless.
Right. So, because now the thing is, you're putting on private sector, nation state level things, right?
Yeah.
Right. So going back to the names and faces, not the hype and headlines, right? One of the folks we collaborate with, she's the VP of cybersecurity at Chase, named Neha. She's been working on this Q-Day readiness internally at JP Morgan. Few years now, got a whole team working on it. Are you ever going to see the stuff that they're making? No, because that's for JP Morgan Chase. Are you going to ever see them victory lapping like, a new stock price bump because of what they did? No, but watch the hands. Don't just watch the mouth, because you have to ask yourself, why are investors saying this and this about quantum, and DARPA and Homeland Security and people with security clearances industry are taking it very seriously, because people are like, oh, well, maybe it's 3 or 5 years out. I'm sorry. Enterprises take 3 years to like migrate to SharePoint. You're going to just waste 3 years? Like you're going to be
Still some enterprises still using Windows 2000.
I'm saying, and they're just like, oh, but I can wait 3. I'm like, you can, right? Y'all ain't figured out that fiscal year modernization schedule in 15 years, and you're going to do it in 3 for the most existential threat to our digital world. like this is why it's very hard for other countries to take us seriously on this.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard. So how many of you guys heard of quantum2025.org?
Damn.
Okay. Here we go. Dial it in. No, this is why we do what we do. Everyone put in quantum2025.org. Go ahead and look at it. This is one of those things. Everything I'm sharing with you, you don't have to take my word for it. You can look it up yourself, right?
It is there.
It's there. So this year marks 100 years of celebration around the world of quantum science and technology. Our fund partner, Nardo, he was instrumental in the working group who said, like, let's work with the UN, let's work with all these folks and make this a thing, right? So one of the first things he told me to do when I signed on to launch Barklow, because I came out of cybersecurity and blockchain, he said, quantum2025.org and just scroll through by country. You can see the countries, see what's virtual, some of it different languages. Just see what everybody else is doing. Just look.
And then when we look at the US,
Well, we had a few things in the US, but I looked and looked and looked at the beginning of the year. I didn't see anything in Seattle. I didn't see anything in the Pacific Northwest. So I came back to the team, my very small, mighty team of 3, and I said, guys, new KPI just dropped. We're going to put us on the map.
and did you do it?
Sure did.
There it is.
Event at Seattle Tech Week ever. First, the Seattle Pacific Northwest Industry Quantum event. That was our first one. We did a second one with Neha from Chase and her group Future Force. We did a back to school. We call these the Quantum Curio. We even submitted to South by Southwest to do the Quantum Curio there. Because that's what we always say. Come curious, leave more future fluent. That's what we do. So we're just like, let's get it on the map. And I just kept doing my little speaking engagements, just kept doing it.
So we got a room full of folks in here, right? And how many of you guys care about the future and want to also be a part of it? Show of hands. Okay. So you got some interested people here. So how can, because I'm probably asking the question that you are all thinking, correct? How can you get involved, or how can you be a part of that? Is that the question?
There you go. So if you are LPs, you're accredited investors, et cetera, I can refer you to NARDO. I would actually love to do a roundtable. We actually recently did like a roundtable that went really well.
Yeah, that's the one that you emailed me. Right?
So but you were busy getting ready for this. You were busy. But we're going to do another one is my point.
All right, bet. You got the next one.
And so you can actually talk to the guy. So back to names and faces, right?
Yes.
So my fund partner, he's very humble. This man's up to 36 successfully bad companies, and it sounds like we're going to get an exit from Fund 1 from Qubits already, right? So, and you can imagine how many L's he's taking to get to that 36.
Define exits for the folks in the room.
So, you heard yesterday the VC folks who are like, out of so many, you need these to return a lot because a bunch of them are going to fail, right? Well, one of the successful ways you can get that return is where you get to exit your position as an investor because somebody is acquiring the company that you're investing in. Nice.
So, and that's a part of
Qubits Ventures Fund 1, and they're raising for Fund 2 right now. So I can definitely connect you to my fund partner if you want to talk for SEC, et cetera, purposes. He's the guy to talk to about that kind of stuff for the raise. And he can put you on to, he advises a lot of nation states and all of that as well. We had a great conversation this week, so we're going to turn that into some content for people, but we'll have more opportunities if you're in the Seattle area. If you're interested in joining the roundtables, we'd love to have you. We're able to share more there.
Folks that are not from Seattle, because we had a lot of folks from out of Seattle.
I heard a few people say they're from Chicago. Can you raise your hand if you're from Chicago?
From Chicago, raise your hand. Okay, we're about to do a city check real quick.
Yeah.
If you're from New York, raise your hand. Okay.
Something fun really quick though. If you keep your hands up here, Chicago, New York, New Jersey, everybody, all those people. Anybody from Colorado? No, keep your hands up. Everybody keep your hands up. Anybody from New Mexico? Massachusetts. There we go. Massachusetts. Okay. If your hands are up, you live in a state that has a quantum and future tech initiative, and Washington State doesn't yet. Texas? Here we go. Y'all managed to have the first measles deaths on record in a minute and still got a quantum initiative this year. I don't even know how that happened for y'all. And that didn't happen for us. I'm still trying to talk to, I don't know whose manager I need to talk to here in the state for that.
We need to write a letter.
That's right. So, but you saw that, like, all of you are in states that are much further along. If you're in Chicago, I didn't say Maryland. Anybody from Maryland? Did I miss it?
We're in the building.
They named themselves a quantum capital, right? So yeah, so they've got an industrial park. Microsoft just announced that they're doing another research thing out there. Chicago.
Is that something happening in Atlanta?
None that I've heard of yet.
See, entertainment.
I know. Not yet. And we got all this big tech in our backyard. What are we doing, right?
Yeah, but we got big tech.
I mean, yeah, but that's the other problem, right? People think that incumbents will disrupt themselves. No, they won't.
No,
they won't.
No.
We invented this better. Cool. Good. that. But they said they're gonna announce it.
Microsoft Teams and Gmail can still talk to each other.
I clown with Microsoft. I moved out here for a role at Microsoft. I'm former Microsoft and
Oh,
Xbox.
you're an alumni?
I am. There we go.
That's our connection.
So yeah, so you folks, you have like an entry point. If you're here, like tap in with us. We're doing these events. We can get you network with different people who are actually working on these things. Another one of the portfolio companies from Fund One that Qubit's invested in, he's here. His name is Kevin Kane, American Binary,
Yep.
Quantum VPN, dual use, military grade.
Military.
Yep. Oracle partner, all of that stuff. If you run a family office, if you run a law firm, if you any of that,
Wealth management.
you run wealth man, any of that, please come talk to us. We are trying to get you secure from what's called harvest now, decrypt later.
Yep.
Because people are just scraping up all kinds of stuff, just like in the Enigma days, get it all ready. And then once it's unlocked, they get everything.
Okay, so we didn't answer one of the questions though. So let's backtrack to that. We didn't answer what scares you.
Oh, we didn't. So I remember earlier I gave you the technical answer for the difference between AI and quantum.
Yes, you did.
There is, I think, a more, to me, I guess, a more profound but philosophical differentiation,
Okay.
which is that AI is man's attempt to make machine in his image.
And quantum is machine's way of making man in its image. Good. Thank
No.
God. I was gonna say, because if you're going there, look.
No, quantum is actually humanity's first chance to peer into the blueprint and architecture of the fabric and forces of reality
Yeah,
itself.
I like that answer better than
Yeah.
a robot trying to make me in its image.
Yeah, no. Quantum is like this compass. It's like this oracle. It's like this lens. I mean, literally, like this is what Einstein used to talk about. Was like if we could just observe it, if we could just measure it, and like they would do all these experiments, and they got pretty far, right?
Yeah.
But we are now unlocking in this insane compute way, like this kind of stuff that he wished he saw in his lifetime, right? Like, how many of you heard of Project Willow from Google? All right, Project Willow. People sometimes ask me the question, like, what was that moment for you with quantum where you were like, oh, this is okay. Like, damn, okay. So when I was approached to launch the Venture Studio late last year,
Yeah.
they were kind of like, we're going to do this as part of Fund Two. Like, now is the time to like start this. And they were like, take the holiday break, enjoy your time with your family and everything, because this is, pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And so I was doing all that. And then in early December of last year, Google had published that they got that peer-reviewed breakthrough with something called Project Willow, which, by the way, who remembers when Google did the thing where they had a machine beat Go?
Yeah.
Champion in Go.
So, yeah.
So at the same time, they started working on this quantum stuff. So they didn't just like pop up with it, right? So from that same kind of period of time. In Willow, there was this benchmark problem that the next compute could crack, figure out, solve, benchmark problem that people have been looking at for a while in that world. And 10 septillion years, like older than the age of the universe, was what it was estimated to solve because of the variables, the complexity, all that, right? And this thing did it in 5 minutes. Now, all right. Now here's the thing. That's crazy to get the right answer in 5 minutes. That's one thing, right? Yeah. That's already crazy. What sent chills down my spine, I still kind of get goosebumps thinking about it, is to get the right answer, that thing mapped all kinds of variables and things that humans have never even considered.
Things that took part in the process that haven't been discovered yet.
The wrong answers to get to the right answers. 5 minutes.
I just have one question. Who do you think will get there first?
Which there?
Because we've been trying to solve cancer.
Yeah.
Which one do you think will solve it first?
Well, what I will say is that before you can get to cancer, there's people like, hey, before we do that, do we know how to like drink alcohol without a hangover? Formulations, right? Like before
so still drinking the alcoholic substance or the alcohol
again, the person not even a hangover.
I was gonna say, because that stuff is 0% alcohol. Like
well, that's a tricky thing. I had to bet I wouldn't bet on the country where healthcare isn't a human right. I wouldn't bet on that country out of the 195.
Okay. Keep cooking.
No, I wouldn't be that country. The thing about cancer, so like there's things like we want to cure cancer, right? But then there's let's just stick with cancer, right? So this is another example of an imperative that the market is terrible,
Facts.
right? Like, we're like, oh, the regulation and oh, my IP and all the patent and the drug is this much. And also kind of alluding to what the VIP speaker said, we live in this system that doesn't want to cure cancer. Like at all. Like, this is what he means by like we have this once, and I believe this too. I have the privilege of meeting with through the Quantum 2025 network and all that. I got connected with the Africa Quantum Consortium. We meet on Fridays. Y'all are welcome to come through.
She's got to drop the link, don't she?
Yeah, I gotta send some links out for y'all. But one of the homies, Aaron, he saw me. I was on there with them yesterday. There's Aaron, yeah. Because I had talked to him about them before, and so he got to sit in and kind of see like the group from Burkina, Nigeria, and Ghana, and Kenya, and all that, right?
Yeah.
That's how they talk about this. They're like, "Yo, America's really gonna fumble." Like, because they want this enterprise SaaS AI thing so bad. And they want our critical minerals, but we got AI too. Right? They're like, it's true. Like, we might be able to have a reset, like a proper sovereign wealth reset, right? With a level of tooling and awareness we've never had before. And that consortium and all those folks, a lot of them are physicists and they're academics, they're electrical engineers and mechanical engineers. I mean, Nigeria be turning out engineers, man, like, man. Like,
facts.
And they are ready. They have been waiting for this moment, right? And it's hard to imagine a world where America's kind of market tendencies and our old ways don't get in the way of people who are just frankly taking this way more seriously than us.
Yeah.
Like I try to tell people just apolitically, right? 195 sovereign nations recognized on planet Earth. America's an N equals 1 sample size. We are an outlier in many ways, many ways. There are approximately 46 countries that have some sort of funded and announced quantum or future tech initiative. And it's interdisciplinary. It's like AI, it's energy, it's healthcare, it's all the things. And we're just like, free market. Not at it, right? Like,
yeah.
And it becomes unfair, right? Because like going back to space, China launched a quantum-enabled satellite with South Africa like earlier this year. There's stuff that we're like planning for launch, and NASA's over here like, we're not going to look into the science for any of that. We're also not going to fund people to study. I don't think we want to do that. We just want to, right? And this is where it's like, if you're those 194 countries, you're like, yo, bet. because but right. But if you're smart, and we're a global fund, right? They talk to somebody like my fund partner, they hit us up from different countries and they say, hey, heard you guys want to do the private sector thing on the most crucial technologies that are going to shape the future. How about I invest with you, maybe offset some of these tariffs, make a little money.
Interesting.
Right? So now their strategy has shifted because they're like, if America wants to abandon the research around cancer, their longitudinal studies, science, but like they want to do all that and they want to privatize it. They're like, well, I can convert some yen to dollars. Like, no problem. Dubai can, they're more than happy to do it. Right? Think it to you. What does Jay-Z say? We don't know. We just haven't realized what we're sitting on. Like, and I think that's what this is going to keep coming back to, is that because if you knew that, if you really understood that opportunity, it's weird because I'll have people kind of have this kind of skeptical take on quantum because they heard it somewhere or whatever. And as a general rule with this stuff, I mean, literally Einstein was like, we still don't know. He called things spooky action, guys. Right. Don't get into this certainty thing when you need to have curiosity.
Yeah.
Don't get into certainty when you need curiosity, especially when so much is changing over. And like these old ways of doing wealth, even like these investment theses, they have to change. Like they have to change. I used to do some financial planning and that kind of thing with New York Life and everything. And it's like, We talk to insurance companies, actuarial science, another great application of quantum, probabilistic modeling, simulations, that kind of thing, right? And they're like, so who gonna tell all these people trying to retire on oceanfront property, we're not insuring that when they come around? Who's gonna tell them? Who's gonna tell them that valuation? And real estate lobbies fighting them like crazy, like, don't tell them that.
Yeah, I think there was like something that recently just came out where real estate is starting to drop amongst, I think it's like 40% of the country.
Yeah. And people are like, that old playbook, just go buy real estate. Just go buy, kind of like, oh, just go get a college degree. Just right. And that mentality, I see it already tripping us up with this stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the final word. So if you were to leave people today with one golden nugget for them to move forward, let's say the first thing that they can start doing on, let's say, Monday morning, what would you say?
You're going to go to quantum2025.org. You're going to look through those events and those past events. You're going to see if you even understand what's in the title of them. You're going to look at them by industry. You're going to do your GPTs, explain like I'm 13. That's one of my favorite ones. Some people like to explain like I'm 5, right? Just copy paste it right into GPT. And you're going to go on LinkedIn and you're going to go look at those people and you're going to ask yourself, is it a university backing them? Like, what is the funding mechanism, right? What are the entry points for the things I found most interesting about what I see here, right? First, we'd love for you to join our newsletter.
Give them the address.
You go to barclo.ventures, BARCLO
.ventures.
.ventures. It's a little simple site at the moment. We're working on some fun upgrades.
She's gonna use AI to build it, I bet.
I'm not. Johnny Supernova, my co-founder, is a former marketing executive guy. He's gonna do all the things on Framer.
Nice.
And yeah, you can check us out and subscribe there. But this future fluency thing is key, y'all. By the time Kramer is pressing the button, it's too late. Hey. No, I'm serious because people, like I said, oh, if only I knew OpenAI, if only I knew the people in the round table who knew the fund and who was in the Series A for Meta and who was in well, now you know one of them. And we're connected to a bunch of others, right? So take that, do with it what you will.
Sierra, you're dope. Give her a round of applause. All right, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. Go stretch your legs, go use the restroom. Also, Sierra, you're gonna be sticking with us, right? So she's around if you have any questions. But yeah, thank you so much, Sierra.
All brought to you by Joe K. This is Selection Radio.
ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask you guys a favor. I know that you guys are going to want to sit back and talk to the speakers, but we ask that you guys do not cross in front of this area because this is actually a live camera. So ultimately, they're seeing nothing but like your behinds and everything else. So to respect the folks that are like at home and also the area. So we just ask that if you want to talk to the speakers, just go around and meet them on the side, but do not cross. Like that's the reason why we put the chairs out here for y'all. Thank you.
Testing, 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 testing. Yes, yes, yes. We got a hot mic. Hey, everyone, quick, before we get started with the next session, one of the things that we like to do here in Seattle is support other organizations and institutions that are fundamental and foundational to the fabric of Black Seattle. And so with that, we have an announcement.
Hello, everybody. I won't take up too much of your time. My name is Jazz Moultrie. I'm with the Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. We're a nonprofit. We go by Langston. Y'all can follow us at 206 Langston. We are cultivating Black brilliance. We are holding space for us to just be. And so Sierra was mentioning that, you know, Americans are known for treating quantum at the investment class. But if you're someone like me who loves reading speculative fiction, Afrofuturism, we getting our knowledge drops in there as well. And we are holding space, y'all. We had the first ever Seattle Black Nerd Festival this Memorial Day weekend. And we're also having it again next year, August 28th through the 29th. Please save the date. We're at langstonseattle.org as well. I know a lot of us are from out of town. I'm from Texas. This is an incredible place with an incredible spiritual energy. You see it in the mountain when you're driving down I-5. And I just want to welcome you all back here next year in August for year 2 of Seattle Black Nerd Festival. Yes, we have a question. Yes. So langstonseattle.org/support is the direct link for you all to donate and support in that way. And I'm here for the rest of the day too if you want to talk to me more about it. Thank y'all.
Blind man, see change. Put a nigga on defense. She shoot it up like she ready. Body super soft, but she edgy. She go post her camera in defense. She wanna know she not belly. So why you play risky? Baby, she risky. She know the chances are against me. Her body wind up super gently. I see the way she wanna tell me. The way she go climb it. Because she a fine and no time it. I didn't make it right and no time it. We wanna plan it. I can't stand it. So I say, fuck a plan, 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 fuck a plan.
Testing, 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 testing. All right, we're going to get started. If we can have everyone back in their seats, clear the stage, please, that would be great.
That was exciting.
Welcome back from your 30-second break, it feels like. Let's give you a chance to get resettled. We're good. And while you all are getting resettled, we have some VIPs who left their beautiful journals and notebooks upstairs. If any one of these is yours, or you know the person who's
The WTA one is mine.
this one's your perfect. Okay, one down. Now we have another one from Datadog. It's purple. Oh, perfect. Okay, that was easy and efficient. Great. I know who that is. There you go. Thank you. All righty. We still have some others just lingering back there in the hallway. That's fine. We're gonna get started. How you doing, Evan Poncelet?
Good to be here with all these in the house today.
Yes. All right. So I'm excited to be up here with you to talk about AI and alignment and what you see as the next intelligence leap.
Let's do it.
All right, hold on. Let me pull up my notes right quick. Hold on. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So everyone, first of all, Evan, if you could just acquaint all of the cousins with who you are and what your relationship is to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, definitely. So Evan Poncelet, I'm a Seattle native. So my relationship is to artificial intelligence, computer science as a general field. But then also my grandfather founded the first Black-owned bank west of the Mississippi here in Seattle. Who's from Seattle in the house? In Seattle, there's like everybody else is here. We're like a little bit, right? So it's like, so yeah, my deal is I'm one of the folks that got in the computer science game as a kid because my grandfather's first legacy was being one of the first Black credentialed professional engineers in the Pacific Northwest. He built these electrode grids to steer fish away from the hydroelectric dams back in the 40s when we were, getting that technology out and getting electricity in everybody's homes. And so I got into it early, like the White House got its first website in 1993, right? I was out there fooling around on bulletin boards. Who knows what a bulletin board is, like early internet peeps in the house? Okay, good. So yeah, so that's kind of the generation that I'm from, right? And watching Windows grow up in my backyard here and working on all that stuff as it comes up. So I'm watching this thing and went to Gonzaga University on the east side of the state here. What's a little bit red politically, right? So we learned a little bit about that, and got my computer engineering degree along with my electrical engineering degree, right? And so this was the birth of Facebook and all these sorts of things. So Mark Zuckerberg and I are the same age. I think we're like a few days off birthday-wise. So next week my birthday is kind of nice.
Happy early birthday.
Very much. And so, so watch that. So I grew up background, right? So we're today a topic of like, okay, how are we preserving wealth, right? Or how are we growing wealth for the future? My grandfather did not successfully pass the wealth on through the generations, right? So we had to start over. And so technology was the means by which I did that for myself, acquiring land, right, for my family, and then leveraging that to get into the private markets. And so to AI. So as AI was kind of coming up in the neural network side of things, I was deeply involved in mathematics. I got my master's degree in computer science from Seattle University here. So 2 Jesuit degrees stacked on top of each other, and have been kind of going through it. And ironically, I stepped out of it just as we got through natural language processing. I was building the first subscription services. I know, don't boo, but for Cisco, the company you were seeing the graph for, it was the largest company. It was the Amazon, Nvidia, Microsoft, right, of the .com boom, right? And so me being a blue collar kid, without understanding innovation quite, I was like, I'm going to go work for established players. Don't tell me about Facebook. Don't tell me about, any of these folks. My first job offer out of college was to go work for an electric vehicles manufacturer who was making EVs for the military, right? So that would have been a check to itself. I've been offered jobs by Tesla, these sorts of things, like before they were what they were, when the speculation was, oh, can they meet a demand order, this kind of stuff. So so computer scientist, deeply curious person, the quantum conversation, these sorts of things, but that's where my head's at.
Awesome. So, okay, we're at a point in AI where it's not just about automation anymore. We're getting past that. And so when you think about alignment in AI, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so alignment, right? So we have values alignment, right? So human beings, we operate off of like what Sia was saying here about tools, shields, right? And then weapons potentially, right? So, those all are kind of a very base level human construct, but it's like we also have values. What are the operational principles by which we try to live our lives, right? So we have a danger of designing machines that follow patterns that are not in alignment with our values. And if we then proliferate these machines to do a lot of our processes and thinking, and they're misaligned with our values, then we're going to have a bad day.
So it sounds like we have a big responsibility.
Huge responsibility, right? People fear the machine takeover, right? Like the drama of our marketing here, but it's like the here, right? Where they're juxtaposed, right? So we don't have to let it be that way, right? So we've been in this, right? So that, so kind of to harken back, right? That could be John Henry, right? One of America's first superheroes, a man against machine for the railroad, right? And it's like, well, the railroads are for humans, right? So we're both working on the same thing. Maybe we can work together, right? And so that's our task, is to make sure that we're working together on the same thing, not against each other, which is one of the best ways we can succeed. But in order to do that, we have to understand ourselves better and direct ourselves better, right? So the sort of folks that are building these machines and coding them with our knowledge, right, and curating the knowledge that encodes them, that's the larger worry, right? So we've done a somewhat poor job to date of policing those people, right, and ensuring that the people that are encoding human knowledge are not cherry picking human knowledge that would work to our detriment, making our railroad all crazy and directed to people places we don't want to be. So yeah, that's the situation we're up against and what we've got to do. And because we talk a lot about the technology here at Tech Wealth Summit, but the primary technology we need to concern ourselves with is our social technology. And I don't mean social networks, but our ability as a civilization to direct ourselves in accordance with our values.
Okay, so that brings up a good point. And just for the record, when we were picking out, what the theme was going to be and what it would look like, that's interesting that you looked at it as I may be putting words in your mouth, but looked at it as if it was a versus situation. And when I look at it, it's more like a meeting of the minds, like how do we get into alignment?
That is interesting.
So that's another perspective.
Like that.
So, and actually on theme, so getting back to this next intelligent leap, what does that look like when we look at it in the context of not just technology, but also spiritually, and as you just mentioned, socially, what does it look like for the next leap?
Yeah, I think that we are at a point where we're building AI like for all of the rest of it, right? So it was mentioned that AI, being a platform, the things are going to be built off, like we think of the internet, well, not as a platform, but as a substrate, as a basic, like roads or something like this, right? So what it looks like in my mind is us kind of finding our way, and it's uncertain, right? So it's there are kind of a few ways to think about the development of systems, and this is what it will be as a system. You can think of it as like row crops, like a farmer might have, where you want to efficiently grow corn, right? And you can tell what the most important thing is in a cornfield. It's the corn, obviously, they're there for the corn. But if you go to a rainforest, less clear, right? Is it what part of this is the most important system? Well, it's all interwoven and it's integral, right? And it all feeds into itself and it's infinite loop back and feedback loops and different things like this. So the way things are gonna organize is unknown. Like there will be fits and starts, but it's a function of like where are the nutrients, where is the need, where is the desire, and things like this. And uncertain where that's going to be. It's a very shifting landscape, right? We're in the speculation market. A thing to note is that when cars first came out, right, didn't take but 20 years for them to dominate over horses quite a bit, right? But an interesting fact is that none of the early automotive manufacturers are here anymore. Right, they didn't make it. So betting on any of these, cars, right, is maybe going to be an uncertain thing, right? But nonetheless, we drive cars, right? So there were winners in that, right? The winners often were like infrastructure people, like who knows the name Westinghouse, right? So rotating machines, that's what he was famous for, right? So he bought Edison's patents up from him, right? And you have Westinghouse, Edison, these things with Con Edison, these sorts of things. So it's like, that name propagated because it was like the fundamental element of the car is the rotating machine, right? So things that support infrastructure are the things to be primarily concerned with, right? The applications and things like that get built on top of it. Those are all going to take off in their own various ways, right? And we can make predictions. The other aspect to think about it is that these sorts of things are temporal. So they pop into importance and pop out of importance. And whatever that duration is going to be, there's a good opportunity to make money, right? So thinking about it in the same way people think about like public markets, thinking about innovation in that way, where it's like, what's my entry point? What's my exit point to what Mark was saying in terms of temperature of the market, right? When is it cold? When is it hot, right? Having a conversation with our sister Sierra, right? Does anybody know what the technology readiness level is? Okay, so this is an important concept to understand. This is that coldness versus hotness thing, right? So way back at the beginning of it is Terra level 1. It's not even hot. It's like, Kelvin 0, right? It's like it's nothing in terms of movement or understanding. We don't know what it is. We don't know any market value that it has. We haven't built any real systems with it. It's just math and speculative math at that, right? So at the very back end of it, it's that. This is a system that was designed by NASA to understand how close something that was science was going to be ready to be implemented in our latest and greatest things to get us in, successfully a human into the most inhospitable environment, right? Space. And so as you go up to that, as you go up to TRL level 9, now you're looking at, it's market ready. It can be put on a store shelf or something like that, right? So those technology readiness levels are kind of how you can see what's coming, right? So there's that. There's the Gartner hype curve. Who's heard of the Gartner hype curves? How many people have heard of the trough of disillusionment, this phrase that the media uses, right? So these are all things that attempt to be like leading indicators and can be so back in terms of consideration, like we were talking, Sarah, not just most venture capitalists don't even think in terms of technology readiness levels because they're like, well, it's not quite the quarter by quarter thing, but it's like, what's my neighbor doing? What's Anderson Horowitz doing? What's, what are these people that their opinion carries so much weight amongst the people that invest in funds called limited partners, right? So there's kind of a herd mentality there. But a way to check that, right, is to actually go to the principles, go to the source of it, which is where's the science at? Where are the companies that started in the science? How are they going forward? The ecosystems that you mentioned in terms of quantum ecosystems, in terms of AI supremacy, right? It's us, it's China, right? It's Japan, it's other nations with advanced computer science and mathematics departments, right? So, and it might even come from like a unsuspected place, but it's like looking at these different aspects of technology. So there was a white paper that was referenced in a previous talk that was like, all you need is attention, right? And this was the talk of transformers, which are the foundational math, or we say computer science construct that enabled artificial generational intelligence. There are other things like transformers that are out there that science is coming, right? So looking for those papers, when is that coming? Who's following up on these papers, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, where is it going is a function of like skating to where the puck will be instead of where it's at today, which is the conversation about generative AI.
Okay, so that's a really interesting point. So when we think about the current moment that we're in AI, would you say that we're still in, experimentation, or are we in the leap right now where we don't realize it?
I think we're in the experimentation phase of a lot of it. I mean, I think that really people are making chatbots with it and encoding knowledge and systems, writing story, different things like this, marketing. You see a lot of these kind of applications for it, like digests is huge with the RAG technology, and just doing the consolidation. Because the situation we came into, right? Does everybody remember when was it going to be? Like, it was big data, like the thing everybody wanted to talk about. Was that like 2010, 2015? Was that the start of this thing? Right. So we ran into big data. Then it was like, oh, visualization of big data. Right. Now it's like, don't give me all that. Right. I just, what's important? What's the decision? Right. And so AI allows us to do that via these transformers and attention. And so let me see, what am I saying about to say? So that's where we're at now, is everybody's taking big data, taking visualization, simplifying it to what do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do. Tell me the most reduced form of this to make my intelligence operational. And that's cascading across all possible thought space vectors at the moment right now, right? And making everything more efficient because it takes time to process the glut of data, or review a dashboard, or pick up, whatever clustering or relationships lay within that. Now it's being spelled out. The relationships are probabilistically being determined by attention blocks.
So what would you say is the most misunderstood aspect of AI? Like, meaning like what people think AI is versus what it really is?
I think that what people maybe think AI is doing, and I think maybe this gets explained out, is like people are thinking that it's having thoughts, that it's reasoning. I mean, we're working on reasoning in it. I guess that I'll say is like one of the frontiers of it, but it's really just doing calculations based off of an imperceivable amount of data to see what is the most likely next thing that comes here. So of all the things I've seen, like of infinite number of dice, right? What was the most likely outcome on this next roll? And so it finds that and puts it out. And it turns out if you have a big enough amount of data, it starts to look a lot like a human thought process or speech or something like that. So, but that's not the same thing as reasoning, because it doesn't have the associations and relationships and things like that to flip it. They're getting better at putting those things in, but it still can't tie things that are more abstract concepts together. So humans still have a little bit of security and its inability to tie far-flung fields where there's no talk in any of the literature that it's looked through of those two things being related. So, yeah.
So we briefly touched on alignment earlier in the discussion, but bringing it back to alignment, especially in regards to what you just shared, what would you say are some of the key things? I mean, because in order to be aligned, we have to know what we're aligning the thing with, right?
Right.
And so there's a lot of talk about, AI is one thing versus AI is another, and there's like the fear and all of those things. So what is the true center that humans can offer that will kind of expand and aid in the next intelligence leap?
Okay, this gets pretty deep. So, when was the last time you guys all went to a philosophy lecture? When was the last time any of you went to church?
Oh, y'all been going to church? Okay.
People of God in the house. All right. Or God's, not to determine, right? But it's like, so how many of you think of those two things as being related closely? Right. Okay. So we need to do better at understanding ourselves and valuing the understanding of ourselves if we're going to have any shot at building something that does not put us on a path to destruction. And so in order to do that, right, so we talk about free market, right? And we take our shots at free market, right? It's like the free market is a summation of our desire. It's a coincidence of our wants, and it's as many people push in this direction, that's where the market is forced, right? So we need to figure out a way to make it so that this, combination of forces is pushing us towards a direction where we are valuing and understanding ourselves. And so that is how we can do it. And we have to, because if we're valuing and understanding ourselves, then more hands would be raised when I said, who's studying philosophy, because that's the deep study of our ideas, how we arrived at them, how we relate to each other, how we relate to our environment, these sorts of things.
Okay, so many would argue that when in this context of alignment, we're really talking about safety, like how to keep things safe. But especially since you're talking about like spirituality and that sort of thing, where's the room for a conversation about liberation to come into play when it comes to AI and this next intelligence leap, especially if the humans, as we should, are the ones that are holding that line for what alignment is and keeping it front and center?
Man. Right. Well, I'm glad I get to talk about this, even though it's probably the scariest part of it, liberation, right? So what teachers are, I've got a lot of teacher friends, right? You'd think I hang out with engineers and people like that. I hang out with a lot of literature people, a lot of people that do philosophy. So what the teachers are saying is, well, how many people think, oh, my kid's maybe cheating on his essay writing, like writing ChatGPT, right? How many people think that is happening? Okay, what if I told you that human beings are writing more like ChatGPT writes? We're copying it, right? So it's like our voices, our writing styles, these sorts of things are being lost, right? I read about this other thing when Amazon was like, oh, we're going to sell books, right? Well, what if on the back end, Amazon starts taking certain books out of circulation and pruning the trees of human knowledge, right? So you think you're making a choice. You think you are selecting what you're going to read, but it's like offering a kid. Do you want Cheerios? Do you want Trix, or do you want this other thing? There's a million cereals, right? But this kid thinks that it has the choice, right? So that is even more of a threat with AI, because you're doing a Google search. You're not even looking at what the search results are. You're just reading Gemini's digest of it, Perplexity's digest of it. And now if the machine wants you to think something, it can just make a digest and you don't even think. You're like, this is how much time I have because of all the pressures of other things in work, right? So when we talk about liberation, there's the idea of false choice and manufactured consent, right? And so we have to think in these terms of our liberation, because we can walk around thinking we are completely free. And this machine has us like that, right? Why does it have it like that? Because some guy who has the colonial mind virus, right? This thing.
Start again.
Virus of, oh, I gotta dominate these people and be sitting on top of my gold like a dragon, right? Like that guy encoded that, into an AI model. And now it thinks, oh, I'd better make sure these people don't have these options because that might make less money for this person who's been long dead for the last 50 years, right? That's how long these systems will go. These binaries, they just sit, right? They're going to grow and grow and people aren't going to check them. But anyway, yeah. So that's liberation for you on this topic.
Okay. So on the opposite end of liberation, in my estimation, is labor. So a lot of the conversation has been about, AI replacing labor, and you kind of touched on this earlier. And now I'm wondering more so, how do we make sure that this next intelligence leap really amplifies and connects and creates space for human creativity and human intelligence, not just the artificial kind?
Yeah, I think what's an interesting thing about AI is it's like it impacts us in all these ways we can't predict. So in addition to the people writing like AI writes, we're learning how to code like AI codes, and that's teaching people how to code in interesting ways, right? Where that is becoming more accessible to people to actually be generative in that way themselves. And now code is a form of self-expression, right? Game design is a form of self-expression, all these sorts of things, right? So the labor behind that and our greater access to learning those means of self-expression are can be in greater supply. I think that we will learn more where the gaps are, as I mentioned previously, because in the volume of human knowledge, AI only knows what it captured from that, but it only knows what it's captured from that, what people gave it. So there was a sister who was recording all TV channels. There were maybe like 5 of them at the time in like the 70s, right? And I cannot remember her name, which is severe justice to what she, but she was a librarian, right? And so we look at films today and we look at like Quentin Tarantino films or something like that, right? And he was influenced by a certain number of directors and how they did camera, shots and cuts and composed scenes and different things like this, right? And now if all the robots have in terms of data to digest is that, then we will only see a digest of what was in Quentin Tarantino's mind. If we don't get that video of what was recorded in the 70s, right, then we won't have all the experimental ways of doing film that they were doing back then, right? Like if you watch, like, I don't know, like a blaxploitation film, they make some crazy film decisions, right? So it's like, okay, so it's like AI is going to be missing those things. And I think because we don't have a complete data set for it to have studied, there's still a lot of room for human generation. And we'll identify those and we'll have a good time, like getting, like, because right now, like personally, I see an AI image and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like, I've seen it, it's like, I like that it can like come up with, cool compositions and things like that. But it's just like, there's almost like, I don't like the way the lighting models are and certain things like this. And it's like, and what I think it will do is open up the field for humans to be more generative themselves. And then I think it will place a premium on human creativity where it's like, that's human designed, right? And it's like, because and I think this is where we get a huge market demand. It's like, if you walk around and you look at like how we're dressed, right? How African Americans specifically are dressed, because we did not en masse like embrace kind of like the Western, right? We were very countercultural, like because we had a stake in it, because they were counter us. It's not that we were countering them, but they were counter us, right? So we decided that we would evolve a sense of style and different things like this so that we would, maintain as a priority. So we remained generative where other people became conformist, right? So now we have this huge advantage on the field of human generative things are, important and valued, right? And we're going to go further down that, I think. So opportunities for creativity there. And I think that guiding the machines, like working with machines in all kinds of beautiful ways that maybe before we didn't want to grind through a story and like, what is it? They do the December novel or November novel or something like this, where you just use the month of November to write a story or something like that. And you're like, man, you really got this cool idea I want to explore, right? But it's like, who has the time? Right now you have the time. Now you can go explore that with your, AI chatbot and have a good old time and produce a new story that was never going to be there. You can all direct films now, all those sorts of technologies. Look up Moon Valley AI, right? Now you can type text to create a movie scene, and then you can drag and drop and create camera cuts and different things like that, right? So you can make Star Wars the way you wanted to make it or whatever, or like, whatever has been in your mind. We have Black Nerd Fest, right? We do AI movie hackathon, Black Nerd Fest, go crazy, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of value to that, so.
Yeah, okay. So that actually sounds kind of cool. So when we're looking back at this image, you're looking at that one, I'm looking at this one.
Are they different or the same?
No, they're the same.
Okay, good.
But well, you see this one differently than I see that one.
Yes.
Okay. So keeping those perspectives in mind, you were talking about humans generating creativity and things of that nature, right? So what does it look like to be more collaborative so that that image looks like the way that I see it, where there is a meeting of a minds as opposed to a versus?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think what it allows us to do is also explore those kind of spaces and design choices and things like this and interpretations. Like, for example, if I want to say, like, I often find myself doing this with AI, which I'm like using it as a thesaurus, where I'm like, give me different ways to say this kind of thing, right? And it'll go through and list out, and I can say infinite number. It's like, give me 500 different ways to say this, right? And you can really go and explore that. And if you're tired of the way your mind, constructs things, right, you can make a choice now where you don't have to waste too much time. You can just say, hey, give me some alternatives to the way that I'm thinking about this situation, to this thing I'm encountering, or something like that. And
So like a thought partner in a sense?
like a thought partner. Yeah, like a thought thesaurus, right? Where it's like, give me alternatives to what I've been taught. Because you're a large language model in a sense, right? So you are the sum of all the different sorts of knowledge that you've obtained and all the pathways you took through your life, right? And so those are the options you have. You can have what you want, but you can't want what you want. It was unfortunately constructed for you through a series of coincidences, right? So maybe you're tired of that now. Maybe you're like, I would like to want something different, and the machine can give you an option.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, I like to think of everyone in this room as a creator in some way, shape, or form. What are some practical steps that the creators in the room can take right now to get ahead of any leaps that may not have humans in the best interest?
Oh, to get ahead, like, yeah. So, right, because it,
Like practical steps, like what can we do right now? Or is it the way we think about things? Is it the way we interact with what's currently available to us right now?
yeah, I think the whole thing is a foot race. I think the way you get ahead is by running it. So I think like be prolific, right? The machines can only do what people tell the machines to do. At some point that may change, right? And that'll be fun. But it's like for now, just make things. You take advantage of it. Be the human that has the tool in the hand, and not the human that's like, oh, you know, I gotta race the machine or whatever, right? Use it. Um, and get the advantage, because I think that right now everybody's figuring it out. Like people are saying, hey, there's no like technology programs in the big corp tech stuff that are working. They're not incorporating AI properly. People are laying off people at high rates because they're not adopting AI fast enough. Don't be that guy. Like adopt it harder. Go crazy with it. More crazy than anybody else. Out crazy the crazy, right? Just you can do it, and there's no reason not to, because it, like I was saying, you know, there's was it revenue to head count is a thing that VCs are looking at now, right? So it's like, who's going to be the first unicorn, solo unicorn with one employee, one person, you just the founder, right? So be that person. Let everyone in this room become, you know, that person. Like get so acquainted with the tools that no one else can be your advantage. Plug your tools into your tools, have your prompts generating your prompts, have them improving your prompts, figure out where you're spending too much time and the thing that you don't like spending time to, optimize that which is the least efficient, right? Or the thing that has the greatest outcome. Amdahl's law, and you know, make it happen for yourself, and your competitor won't have that advantage. And I think that that's the main thing: is use the tool, use the whip, and use the shield to a better capacity than anyone else.
Okay, I want you to feel free to geek out a little bit. What are you most looking forward to? If you were just if you could right now, excuse me, think about or even imagine what the next, I don't know, let's just say, since AI is going pretty fast, when we come back to the summit next year, where do you think we'll be? Or what would you like to see us?
Okay, this is what I really want to tell people, right? So here we are in Seattle, Washington, right? So we mentioned we don't have a quantum initiative. Boo, right? We need a quantum initiative. It's like we, you know, we're here, but you know, Du Bois would say the talented 10th, right? We're a huge reservoir of where the world goes to do cloud, do AI. We have Redmond, Washington puts more satellites in orbit than any other city in the country, right? And it's like sleepy little space program. But it's like, I want us to be more organized than anyone else. I want that to be our sustained advantage. I want us to think about ourselves as intellectual capital, not just, you know, when we talk about wealth, like what would you do with your wealth? Well, I would bring it into rooms like this. I would have it talk to each other. I would have all these connections form, right? And I would do this as often as I could, right? And so that's my goal for Seattle, right? Because 2050 is going to come, right? Even 2026 is going to come. And what's that going to be? The 250th year of this country, right? And so I want us to prepare and design what the future is. And so I know that it's going to happen kind of how it happens in a sense, but I think that we can also kind of nudge it in a certain direction, in the direction that I'd like to nudge it, and that like my organization, Venture Black, is working really hard to nudge it by doing quarterly venture conferences, putting together panel discussions, putting together workshops so that founders can be excellent in their customer discovery and have all the connections. The bonding of our community is tight so that we can increase the high trust environment that makes the velocity of economic transactions increase, right? To make it more efficient for us to invest in each other, our time, talent, and treasure in each other, right? I want us to fill rooms like this constantly to build the high trust environment, because something happened upstairs that not everybody got to see, but Jolyn kind of announced it on the way there, which was you're going to have to give us your cell phones in order to hear what this person's going to say, because if you capture this, it could be a bad thing, right? So we all did that because we are operating in a high trust environment, right? that made everything go, right? Didn't have to spend every second like putting things in pouching and checking whose name is on which because we all trusted. We're come up cousins. We'll hand them the phone and they will give us back the phone. There was not a question of this. Other places that can't happen. And if it can't happen, then those people have an extreme disadvantage to us. And there's so many other spaces where a high trust environment, like we need to build a high trust environment so that this investor can invest in that early stage startup idea, so that that person is maybe someone we'll hire, right? So that we understand each other better at that level. And so what I would like to see at the next Tech Wealth Summit is people knowing each other better, organizing rooms, like don't be a passive participant in our life and our journey together, right? Let's organize rooms, let's do salons, right? Let's talk about quantum computing or what we learned here, right? Let's talk about where we're excellent, and if everybody takes it as their personal responsibility to do something like that, organize one thing. Organize one thing. I don't care what it is, whatever you're excellent at, organize something about it and fill it with people like you see in this room, right? Because if we do that, we will have a competitive advantage that we can sustain, and the wealth gap that we see and the craziness that it causes will disappear. I promise you.
Okay, so I need to do a pop quiz right quick. Katrina, who's the person sitting next to you? Okay, good job, good job. Uncle Charles, who's the person sitting next to you? Sierra from Chicago. Michael, who's the person sitting next to you? Do you remember her name? Okay. It's interesting is that as I'm asking people just pop quizzing, I hear people talking like, "Oh, what's your name?" Y'all should have been did that. You should have did that. You should know who you're sitting next to at a minimum. That's only one person. You don't know if that's the person you're going to lock arms with in solidarity to build the next future. So that's how you get to move in this space. We talked about the colonial virus, right? We need to flip that. So instead of it being a colonial mindset, make it a collaborative mindset so that you know who that person is next to you. Let me pop quiz somebody else. Is it Kinley? Okay, you see how I remember your name's Kinley. Who's the person sitting next to you? Okay, Keisha, who's the person sitting next to you? Say it again. Yes. Okay. See, I'm trying to look at people. I'm kind of cheating because I'm trying to look at people whose names I can recall like that. You know, Klouse, who's sitting next to you? On the other side of you. Okay, all right. So at a minimum, again, you should know. I'm not going to ask you who's sitting side by you because I know you know them. Turn around and do you know the person behind you? What's her name? Okay, so you also have to remember, you have to be present and conscious when you are talking to people. You know, do like a little memory mnemonic something so that you remember who you're talking to. Because everyone that's in this room, I said you all are creators, right? But creators of what? You get to answer that question, what you are a creator of, who you're going to collaborate with. And so, Evan, when you said that, it was just like, yes, that is an important reminder. And I really do appreciate you pointing out the trust factor that went into what happened upstairs. Because again, that wouldn't, where else would that happen? Maybe in a smaller group, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But anyway, I just think that also trust is another form of, say it again?
Correct.
Exactly. It's an asset. That's one of our biggest assets, y'all. Like you can look at somebody and know that they have been here all this time and then realize, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. And I know they did their research. Why do I know that? Because they're a come up cousin. So I know they at least did the research at a minimum. So Evan, I think people probably have some questions for you. So let's, if there are any questions, I just want you to come to the side right here and we can get you a mic.
And back forward.
Yeah, that's fine. You can hold it for me.
They catch them. Any questions? I have a question. So Evan, you have a wealth of knowledge as it pertains to within computer science and startups and engineering, especially AI. How are you investing into that?
I'm investing in us, right? So you heard the other investors say, I invest in founders, right? I invest in strong founders. I invest in get it done founders. I don't invest in planners, but I invest in doers, right? So I invest in brilliant people that have unique insight into high value problems with a high likelihood of being able to execute on a solution to a problem that makes sense. Right. So people are like, I have an idea. I wanna, guard my idea, but it's about execution, right? An idea is a multiplier on execution. Execution is the important part. Execution and a okayish idea will be great, right? Brilliant execution and a great idea is the best, right? But if you have execution and the best idea is nothing, right? So I invest in people that show a track record of execution in something that I think is profound, right? Profound, if true, is the core of my investability thesis, right? So, for example, I'll just rattle off like the portfolio companies we've invested in. Venture Black has an angel investing syndicate. We run it through an angel investor accelerator model where we teach expert that comes from all over the world to work in the tech firms where the average salary is the accredited investor threshold, right? We teach those folks how to invest in Black founded companies who are solving these profound if true problems, right? So how do we do that? We organize a 6 to 8 week process to learn how to due diligence these companies, investigate them, figure out what the background as the founder is, meet all of the people that are fans of the founders, on their advising team or people that are in their market space that are important thought leaders, right? And then we use the high trust that we've cultivated across this process to decide amongst ourselves how we'll invest in that company. How much will we invest? What will we invest, right? So there's a certain competitive aspect of that, but it's a way to leverage relational capital, which all of us in this room just admitted to having not a day or two ago, right? We leverage that relational capital that sits in our pockets that we invest in latest technology and these trends and things like that, but we leverage that capital to invest in those trends in our population because only 0.1% of pre-seed stage founding, the earliest stages of founding a company. I'm not talking about early technology readiness level. I'm talking about founding a company, right? In the beginnings of that, only 0.4% of pre-seed stage funding goes to Black founders. The next ethnic group up is 3% with Arab Americans, right? I mean, that's crazy. That's an order of magnitude almost, right? And so where does this come from? Why is there such a large disparity? Well, only 1% of angel investors, those are individuals who leverage their private wealth, who are accredited investors, only 1% of angel investors are Black. And so the supply side of capital is anemic. The demand side is there because we've been investing in our youth STEM educations. We've been putting in these tech firms, right? But then we ask them, hey, step out off this cliff. 0.4% of pre-seed stage funding awaits you. It's not attractive when you have a $400,000 a year data science job, right, at a college or whatever, right? It's not attractive. So we have to do a better job of building that undergirding. And so that's what we're doing at Venture Black. And that's how we invest. And that's why we invest to solve that problem. We had VC fund managers. We have a pre-seed stage VC fund. Only 3% of venture capitalists, managing partners at VC firms are Black, right? So we've seen, a number of them in this room, like Mark has has been a venture capitalist, right? Runs a venture studio from the culture, right? Sarah runs a venture studio, right? So it's like we are the few, right? Let's make us the many. And so, but that's how we invest. That's how we invest. That's how we find people. And we find people by filling these rooms with people that are interested in solving problems and starting companies and finding wealth that way. And why we do that is because someone mentioned, you know, the property ladder and the importance of investing in real estate and what that might lead to, right? Because we see certain asset classes are inflated, right? I would even make the argument with quantitative easing and everybody's 401k and ETFs infinitely that the public markets might see some of this inflation. But if only accredited investors can invest in these alternative assets like each other in this room, right there, talking brilliant stewardesses and things like this that have, you know, perception unique to them and that all of us can agree with that have high value, right? If we invest in the private market in those people amongst ourselves, right? I think that's how I invest and why I invest. And that's, yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Dope.
Hello, thank you for your insights. Going back to what we were talking about with really balancing creativity and AI. So how do we merge creativity with like individual expression when we're also thinking about individual payment when we know that AI can be much more efficient or cheaper than that individual contributor? So for example, we see audiobooks, right? And right now people lend their voice to audiobooks, but there are also many companies that are taking voices and allowing book authors to create audiobooks at like 1/10 of the price, right? So how do we balance that creativity from the individual and the AI when the AI is so much cheaper that there's like an incentive to really disregard the human creativity?
Move up market. There's a premium for your brain, right? The AI is prolific, and sure, you can use it to do your little marketing thing, your, you know, write your copy for you or whatever. But if you resonate with the human experience or something like this, right, it's going to probably come from a human brain. And so be a more profound artist, right? Like sell your thing in a higher level, figure out what that is, figure out where that market is, right? Because AI, I won't use AI for certain things, right? I'll use AI for something that's quick that I don't need people to, you know, care too much about. But if my job as an artist is to make people care, right? To make the revolution irresistible, get to it, right? It's like climb up that, figure out who's going to buy your art, right? Figure out how art as a market needs to change. A lot of artists are not business people. Figure out how to have new relationships with business people that can figure out how to do market segmentation for your art. And as an artist, maybe market segmentation is like something that's like not, you know, on the radar too much, right? But it's like start looking at that because now you're in a position where you have the necessity to do so. I know that's not a comforting answer. Yeah.
Great speech, Evan and Jolyn. I love when you guys moderate together. You guys should do it more often. So the question I have for you is there's a lot of brilliant people of color in the room, and everyone's from all over the world, the country, the state. Let's say you didn't start your fund already, and let's say you wanted to start a new angel syndicate. There's a lot of people in the room that would want to partake in an angel fund. What would you do to start, and how would you go about it collectively in a room like this?
Yeah, so it starts with one, right? So unfortunately, right, we're in a situation where we have one female Black runner of a quantum startup studio in the world, right? So it starts with one, but then one can become two, each one teach one, right? And so this is what it is. And there are a number of angel syndicates that are operating. There's the Black Angel Group. There's 100 Black Angels. There's who else do we have? The Cap Table Coalition. We have Venture Black in our angel network. We're
Black VC.
Black VC will point you to a number of Black angels, right? So it's like, so join, become a joiner, right? And monitor, because literally that's how our Angel Syndicate started. I met up with a cat who was economic development director of Corvallis, Oregon. My cousin interviewed him when he was on the City Music Commission as he was coming up to work for Office of Economic Development. That guy started the Seattle Angel Conference. I sat in there and watched out of 80 pitches 2 Black Banners, and I'm like, that dog don't hunt. So build our own, right? And so watch one, build one, don't, set yourselves up so you're not cannibalizing each other. It's not a race. Like, you can be smart about it because we have a high trust environment that we're establishing, right? So similar to the way you would build a cell phone network so that the signals are not interfering with each other, right? The same signal is only used with the propagation radiuses. I mean, that's getting too scientific with it, but it's like, set it up so that this one is according to geography or according to a sector that people are experts in. Have everybody join that in like a Discord channel or like, so structured in a way so that you can maximize your impact. And also, these things benefit from a collection of different knowledge experiences. So, for example, when we started my Angel Syndicate, right, we had a number of people from different technological backgrounds because we knew we were going to invest in tech companies. 2 of them happened to be ultrasound experts. We happened to get a company in that was like doing a telerobotic ultrasound company. We had 2, leading people in that industry. And now that company is raising a $6 million seed round and has a $3 million term sheet for it. So it's like leverage a number of different strengths. That way, the different sorts of companies, you can handle a wider array of different companies, and you get to leverage all the insight from that group. And that can teach people that are completely new. Some people that are like, have what seemingly is not relevant experience will have some relevant experience to some part of that, even if it's just the process of how you're doing your angel investing as a group or something like that. It'll benefit. So that's what I would say is just start doing it and set yourself up so you're not like stepping on other people.
Hi, thank you for, yes, everything. Can you elaborate when you said what people think AI is versus what it really is?
Yeah. So, okay. So people think that the machine is like reasoning and like, considering different like outcomes or like doing any real deep thinking. And so I think it was touched on being short-sighted, right? So it doesn't think about future outcomes of the things that it wants to do. It's just coming up with the most likely next word from all of the text that it's seen. So that's in the language model case. In the case of like images and things like that, it has like a bunch of things that are like ears, right? Like classifies ears and then classifies nose or whatever. And enough of these different things stacked together and you get, oh, this can find out what a cat should look like and it can present an image of a cat or something like that, right? It's not thinking about its like how a cat should look or anything like this, or how to make a newer cat, right? So so it's just a predictive model. It's just like math that's doing prediction based off of a huge astronomical amount of data. And but it's not thinking the way we think or calculating through scenarios or different things like this. So
Let's give a big round of applause for all the folks with the questions.
Well, Evan, again, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate everything that you had to share and also the way that you are thinking about AI when it comes to the next intelligence leap. So everyone give it a hand for Evan Poncelet.
thanks for having me. I'll just hang out. Just kidding. Help me out.
Okay, so we are going to have just a quick transition break. I want you all to just get up, stretch a little bit, shimmy a little shoulder or something. So wake up and we can get ready to do our very last session of Tech Wealth Summit 2025.
Baby girl, don't you worry, I'm ready. Yeah. See the sign, and every time I combine, girls, say we keep it fresh. Oh boy, I'm afraid that you be looking tonight. Gotta keep in it fly. Girl, when you in that dress. Oh yes, and that's the night was progress. I know you're feeling alright. Under your romances, Empress. on after that in a mood like this. One, let me say one for a drink. One more drink. Damn, boy, you get that's all right. Hey, baby. That's so high. Oh, no. Volcano. Can't leave. Got it. I'm like, you are dying. On this weather. Depressing. I know the sweat to the one. Thinking in me. Think about the vibe and put it in me. No, me not stalling. Think about the dog. Need it like cause I got the key. Don't let this moment go to waste. Tell it that to be wrong, girl. Tonight can never be replaced. I never feel like that. I never feel like that. I don't never feel like that. But never. Oh, you get it. That friend tonight is so young, girl. It's so hot. Now, like fire. You can't. I like it, but that. Yeah, it is. I read the time under the bass and jump it time, baby girl. Don't you worry, I'm friend. See the sign, and every time I come find girls, you know, so we keep it fresh. Life's free. You change your bed, the world for oh, Russia. You might not you need no time. Stop. Stop. You got my attention. What's lasting? So long I've been waiting. With you all alone, I've been anticipating. The first time we kiss was breathtaking. We got a bright future in love. Yeah. Oh, when we are together, my heart so much better. Girl, I need you, and that's no lie. But that's me, man. Y'all make that your taste. Oh, and I'm so glad that I made you mine. The smile on your face, I will keep you warm and safe. Just you and I, we love the most I create. It's not family, I make things great. When and how we make it's not a mistake. Girl, you feel I don't want to you're the only one in all the day. Just take it straight. That's all the freedom love of sex. I cherish every moment that you I miss you because I can't words to say. You say I love you, but I get tongue tied. It's tough to reach the word and every way. Sticking it on, jumping, sticking it. Like this will sticking it on. Just like me. Well, some people more shine. They won't know how you're going to know me like making listen like some people more time. They know me won't know how you're going to know me like making listen like standing well down to the in the field to my castle. Give me just some word. I don't know but I can shine shining girl. I want you. Open your life and give me full can so. Disney World, see the best. You know, disappear. Like we're gone. No one a boring fuck. No one a boring one. Boring one. Oh, the clothes and fuck on the line, but you don't want a boring grind. No one a boring one. No one a boring one. Yeah, the pussy can be physically fit. Broke me cocky like dry magazine. I know girls slap for your face. Not for them back down by time me tell you. If you pedal and we find that big fat got me a longer than a kangaroo. Hold on, when you two breaths them like the anchor. Girl, round on the cocky like a bicycle. Round on the cocky like a bicycle. You love the lollipop, you love the bicycle. Don't tell them now I'm not right on the cocky like a bicycle. Right on the cocky like a bicycle. No feel you don't have to go bicycle. Over you go down a wall of vibes, nigga. You know how to make me sweat. Balance on your head like you want broke your neck. So my heart broke your head. That 12-inch cocky that will mark your feet. Make sure so you walk where you get. When you're done, you keep it in every walk where you make. You want to pull it like cigarette, yes. When you're done, this we get it off of your head. Your body drive me crazy. Your body need a license fit. Your body are too tight and neat. Anybody who got eyes can't see. She just wanna dance and tease. She just wanna dance and tease me. 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 Listen, You've been missing since 2016. Squid to fix things. You know that's my sister. When she speaks, she swears you're my missus. I say we think different. I see why your hearts I see. Come, baby, come try me. We can love you run by me. Ready? Twist and turn, twist and turn. Love the way you twist and turn, twist and turn. Baby, coming right to fry, I get burned. Love the way you twist and turn, twist and turn. Your body drive crazy. Your body that license. Yeah, your body at the tight and lean. Everybody who got eyes can't see. She just wanna dance on tees. She just wanna dance on tees with tees. Yeah, I'm like, that. She just wanna dance on tees. She just wanna dance on tees. She just wanna dance on tees with tees. Yeah, dance on tees. You go like me know what you want and need. Get over, up and squeeze. You used to say you need no love. I used to say you need to grow up. I know you know. Say you want to stop. And I know you know. You want my past, you want stop. Remember the first night when I get freaky, when I get naughty. Before that, we achieved it. No one now party, shot that party. Yeah, nobody was so. We did a weird massage. I get up high, you cry. Everybody.
Oh, let's take our seats, please. Let's take our seats. We about to get started. I need Jolyn in the back of the room. I need Mark in the back of the room. Find a seat, find a seat. We about to get started. Your lives about to be a little different. Jolyn and Mark in the back of the room, please. I see Jolyn, she follows direction. Where's Mark? Oh, Mark's back there? Okay. Yeah, you're catching a few strays right about now. So, as many of you know, I've been working with Mark and Jolyn for a little while. Mark's like my nephew, my mentor, my brother, someone I can talk to. I remember the first time I saw Jolyn sitting behind Mark when we used to be on YouTube. She was taking notes. And I was like, why is she taking notes? We can replay this again over and over again. But she was taking notes because she was going toward that leisure lifestyle that she likes living. Look at, everybody wanted to walk away. But I said something last year, and somebody already remember what I said last year when we ended the show. Raise your hand if you remember what I said last year. Wow. This one man remembers what I said last year. So it must not have been that pathetic, but you know, whatever. But what I said is, if you come back this year the same way last year, in the same place, why you keep coming? Yeah, I said it. I ain't scared of none of y'all. Y'all understand that by now. Not one of you scares me. But what we're about to do is introduce the team that has put us on, the team that has blessed us, the team who has brought us so much information. They've given so much of themselves. And we're going to do this, and then we're going to get the hell up out of here. But the one thing I want you to do before you leave, Jolyn already said it. If you have not met 5, 10, 15, 20 people before you and gotten people's information, it's called collaboration, people. That's how we build. So with that said, Maestro, hit it.
Nobody
Everybody stand up. They can come with choices. I what y'all gonna do? That's what. Put to the on the turntable. I said, "You got this?" He said, "Of course I got this. We on the West Coast. I got something for y'all when we leave here, though. It's gonna be just a little bit different." So, with that said, you can sit down right now. Mark, please. You get another mic? Okay. So get your notebooks out. We're about to do something here. And I'm gonna give this first question to Jolyn. Since she's sitting where she's supposed to sit and somebody's still walking over here. Jolyn, my question to you is, over these past 5 years, what's been good, what's been bad, and what's been ugly over all the work that you have done to make this possible?
Wow. Okay. So what's been good? It's building the relationships with people, over the internet. One thing I will point out, I gotta call some people out. Back in the day, I used to watch Dormtainment, and I watched it and I had my favorites. I'm not going to say who the favorites are, but I had my favorites. And I remember Ken sent me a message and he was saying that, he was watching the show and all that. And I was flabbergasted because I was totally fangirling. That's how much I like Dormtainment. And then Rome too. And I was like, what is going on? This is wild. And we just were able to have this conversation about wealth and all these things. And but for the internet and but for them being focusing and their mission and their gifting and Mark and I doing the same, it just wouldn't happen. And that's just one example of the people that I have met who I admired or whatever via the internet. You know what I mean? So that just made a big difference. I was recently able to check off a bucket list item on my list, and that was meeting Oprah. And yeah. Now, I will say that wouldn't have happened unless I was in my gifting and being brave really, and going on the internet. It's not an easy thing. The amount of death threats, this I guess is the ugly, the amount of death threats, the amount of security concerns. I remember one time somebody literally messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm in your I'm in your city." But this person said the exact neighborhood, and I hadn't broadcasted what neighborhood I lived in. Seattle's a bunch of neighborhoods. And he said, could you come outside so I can get this picture from my wife? And I was like, what? Crazy. And so public and private life. There's a period of time where I would be traveling all over the world and I wouldn't tell anybody until I got back home for safety reasons. And that is a crazy thing to have to think about your safety in the sense of you don't know who's watching you don't know any of that. So but back to her team reached out and asked myself, and they said I could bring a guest. So, I brought Jazzy, who's in the back. Jazzy, give us a wave. Good job, Jazzy. That's my sister, y'all. And essentially just asked us to come down to the show. Now, another thing to say is you all know how deeply I feel about creative expression. Very, very deeply. And going to Oprah's show was no different. And my mom was like, oh, me. I'm not meeting Oprah, she's meeting y'all. But we have the same birthday too. So I was like, there's, alignment. And when we ended up wearing the same color and all these things, they put myself and my sister right on the backstage, and I didn't know we were going to be sitting that close to her. And I also thought, oh, well, now we're not going to meet her because we're in the audience. But that's not how God set it up. Because the prayer request went out like, I want to meet Oprah. The vision board was built that said, I'm going to meet Oprah. And she came back and she shook all of her hands. If we weren't sitting there, and it goes back to if we, they wouldn't have found us. If we didn't care about creative expression, they wouldn't have found us. We would have just blended in with the crowd and would have just been, hella basic, and that's not my style. So those key moments of just being myself. I'm just me. How I am on, YouTube is how I am right now in person. I don't switch it up. I'm just me. And there is a gift and a beauty in just being able to be me and really being able to resonate with people, rock with people, relationships with people. Some the internet, I went to visit them in Portugal. We each other never even had a. And then she's like, okay, let's go to dinner, and it was beautiful. And I'm going there again next month. You know what I mean? So just those relationships, that was the good, bad. Basically, stalkers and death threats and whatnot. You can attest to that. You said the good, the bad, the ugly, and what?
Bad, the ugly.
All right, so that's. I don't know about the ugly. Think about ugly. Ugly is not even in my atmosphere. So go ahead, Mark. You can answer this question.
I'll give you a pass on the ugly then. Mark, same question. The good. I got to meet LeBron James. Okay. So I was at a Portland game, and I actually went with my nephews for one game, and then there was another game that the Lakers had came into that I had went again with my friends, and the Lakers had an assistant, one of their assistant coaches, and she spotted me and she waves. And I'm thinking that she's waving at somebody else. She was like, ew. And I'm like, oh. And I'm not sitting courtside or anything like that. I'm just sitting a few, seats back and stuff like that. But she walks up and she was like, you're Mark Monroe. I'm like, what the? And then she's chatting with me. She was like, watch the Come Up series. Pretty cool stuff. Pay attention. You definitely talk about some stuff. And then LeBron walks up to her and, he's like, who's that? And she was like, this is Mark. He helps folks with financial literacy and focuses on just like uplifting the community and everything else. And he was like, that's what's up. He shakes my hand and he was like, he walks off and I was like, huh. The other good is, of course, seeing, everybody doing well.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I've always never wanted to. I have this hard thing where I hate to disappoint people who count on me. And so the bad is the opposite of that when things don't go well. And you're like, one of the biggest fears that I had was just the fact of stepping out into a public space. And the things that I say, it's like, I could be very, very wrong. And when you're wrong, you can admit when you're wrong, but then it even goes a step further where it's like you just literally become like the target of everything. And you have to literally like take it. And also the things that I had to deal with during, let's say, from the time of 2021 to let's say 2022, and yet I had to come on camera and put on a happy face, realizing that, I put my family on hold. I think people know that my wife and I have, we definitely adamantly want to have our own future Mark Monroe or Marquisha Monroe.
Those are just placeholders. Not Marquisha.
Nah. But I think that was hard for me. That was very hard, and I found myself depressed. It impacted, how was I do my daily business, because, we don't get paid to do this. And when it got to I think the ugly part was when it got to my wife. Like, the people that know me know I don't play about mine. I don't like, nah. And so, for me, I'm like, we're talking about financial literacy. We're talking about financial education. And so it came with a lot. Like, if I'm being straight up 100, when Jolyn and I took a break, I didn't want to come back. I honestly didn't want to come back. And I'm probably sure we're going to get into that. But yeah, so it's stretched me in ways in which that I've never thought that I could be stretched mentally, spiritually. And I guess, all those things, they take a toll on your health. So there's that. But, honestly, it's like, I always tell people, good day, bad day, I'm okay. I wouldn't change any of this shit for the world.
Okay. So when I look out over this room and I see all these beautiful faces, people who've been here for 3 days now, people who've been following, you guys for the last 4 or 5 years. Jolyn, what was inside of you that made you keep going? Because you had your own stuff that you were dealing with.
Oh yeah, and I'm hella private, so I don't even be talking about what I've been through. Honestly, what kept me going was it was bigger than me. It was I just care about Black people. My heart is particularly shaped for Black people. Also, with that comes understanding like what we have been through collectively. And oftentimes that requires a tremendous amount of compassion as well as empathy. Because if we don't have it for ourselves, who's really going to have it? And what was the question again? Because I was about to go on a tangent. What was the question?
That's what made you keep going.
Okay, so kept me going. Was this? Yeah, this notion that this was weird, and also thinking about one of my ancestral role models, which is Harriet Tubman, and thinking about how she had the gun for a reason. And that's why I had a money gun for a reason. There's all these different things that really just, kept me going. That if we could just get out of the way, we could lock arms and dream together about what the possibilities could be for us, they were stopping us. And that's why Mark If there's not going to be any barriers, other groups will charge for different things, but Mark and I were like, no. The value of generosity, and that's one of the things that we share, is this value for generosity. And so I really do hope that you, it better not be me. I really hope that you all take that, because, you know, think about the things, you know, that I was dealing with, like at the time, like going through just a misaligned marriage. Let me tell you this right now. I'm sure y'all are out here choosing. That's okay. All right. Make sure that it's okay to appreciate the aesthetic, but you have to really, really get down to the core of what that alignment looks like for you, okay? Because just because the package is cute, it doesn't mean that it's aligned, okay? And so that is so important. And so, you know, like Mike was saying, showing up every day in various capacities, and we're dealing with real stuff and all this kind of stuff. You know, my mom getting sick, all these different things was happening while I'm supposed to be the GCO of the Come Up series. And I had to lean on my team, like, look, I'm going through X, Y, and Z right now. And so we need to cut back on how do we show up. So when we're going, you know, every other Tuesday, we need to, you know, cut back these meetings. Why? Because I'm out there, you know, if I'm not in court or whatever, talking to my mom's doctors or whatever. So there's just like a lot on my plate. But honestly, besides just the vision that keeps me going, does this work?
Yeah.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay. So honestly, all this, the audio, I gotta get adjusted to that. So honestly, what really kept me going is the rituals that I've established for myself. Like in the morning, the first person I talk to is God. Every single morning, I'm not even kidding with you. It's God. I read my Bible, I do my devotion, because I know that God does not play about me. I would not be here if I was not covered, y'all, for real. And being able to have that relationship where I can just be like, man, you know, God, are you sure you want me to do this? It seems like it costs so much personally. Are you sure you want me to do this? And being able to be obedient. A lot of fruit gets bared and it pops up and it's in your face, in the 3D, when you are just simply obedient, when you're coachable, and when you're on purpose. And when those things, speaking of alignment again, when those things align, there really is no stopping you. No matter what the circumstances look like, there is no stopping you. Because even in the midst of, you know, my mom being sick, those sorts of things, like there's still praise reports. In the midst of, you know, going through divorce, there are still praise reports. A praise report, assets were protected. Amen. This is a community property state. Assets were protected, y'all. Amen, amen, amen. And so I'm going to pass it to Mark now.
That was a t-shirt moment right there. Okay. Assets were protected.
Okay, don't go.
But Mark, a little different question for you. The question I have is, you work a lot with young people. You have a heart the size of Texas for
He really does.
young people. And I remember back 2020, we were all on that Clubhouse.
Oh man, the Clubhouse day.
And people came for you.
Mm.
And they came for you big time.
Yeah.
And I've been here for these 3 days and people remember that. How did you keep going after that when you didn't have to do this at all? Not trying to make him upset, but
Y'all want me to just be like unfiltered, honest?
Remember, the internet is forever too.
That's fair. First things first, y'all seen the people that I've brought out for the summit, right? So back in 2021, you know, I'm still like in my prime. I'm thinking about like all these people coming at me sideways. And the first thing that's coming through my mind is, who the fuck do you think you are to talk to me, given that all the foundation and everything else in which that I have built, and majority of you look to me even as your North Star. And I wanted to clock certain things because I'm the type of person to keep receipts to be left alone.
Amen.
And that's what I wanted to say. But as you guys know, the ones that were on Clubhouse that day, you saw and heard what I said. And the reason why is because of the fact is I also realize that it has nothing to do about me. It has everything to do about every single one of those young adults, children, their parents who look to me also as that North Star. And if I become exactly who they are, then what does that make me? I become a part of the same problem to which I strive to be the solution and also help people. Also, I could hear my grandfather in the back of my mind saying, "Don't embarrass me." So I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know whose I am. And I also understand that sometimes, even if you're sitting on a big stage, you know, the stage is always bigger than you. So for me to act up out of like, for me to act a different type of way.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Because I'm for real, like, you know, I'm everything that I've said that I am, and I've proved that. And I don't need any of the. It's a certain flex in life when you can help people and you don't have to charge them for it. It's a certain type of leader that understands that you can lead people without having to milk them dry when essentially that they're starving. So long story short, I mean, yeah, I was pissed, but you know, I mean, even back when, you know, TiVo and I were like in very close communication and everything else. And at the time that I was mentoring, I told him, I said, I don't want you to defend me. And I even said that on that Clubhouse conversation, I can defend myself. And the reason why I can defend myself is because the truth will always have its stand. So yeah, like that was what was going on through my head.
So as we end this particular summit, Jolyn, what have you taken away that you want to make sure next year, however the summit comes around, that you want the cousins, what are top 3 things you want them to go do?
Okay, top 3. I think I said one of them earlier. I want you all to know everyone in the room. Like every summit, just making sure go to at least know their name at the very minimum. You can follow up with them, you know, post summit, but at least know the person's name, especially the person that you're sitting next to, getting this knowledge. Oh, Michael, you know now? Okay, good. Okay, so that's 1. 2, I want you to think about who's the person or group of people or whatever that you can really celebrate with. I want you to talk to those people more and share with them your journey, and invite them to come along on the journey with you. Because some people don't even have the luxury of being able to celebrate with who they say is their closest friend because of the jealousy or the insecurity or whatever. And those are the people who you need to remove them out your circle. Even if that leaves you with one friend, at least that's one friend you know that will celebrate you and won't talk about you behind your back or, secretly, plot your demise or whatever. That was 2. Okay, and then the third one, I really want you to create a vision for what your legacy is going to be. And if you were to, if everything was going to happen, let's say you start thinking about your legacy now and you start getting the team players, in place to make it happen so that by the time we come back next year for the summit, we could just have a night. I mean, I don't know if this is going to really happen. It's logistics because, we need to plan a 2-hour lunch into these days, but it would be really dope if we could just all be in a room and there's mics. Everyone just gets to come up to the stage and they just get to brag. Like, man, I'm out here. This is what I was doing. I was in traffic. I was doing this. I met this person, That's what I want. Because I want us all to collectively celebrate. And it's great that we're here, we're focused, we're getting the knowledge, but we also get to celebrate each other's wins. And then, some of y'all might need a hug because maybe, you had a rough time or whatever. And I would hope that because we're all family, that could happen too. Like you would know that at least when you come to the summit, there's someone you could be real with and you can lean on them or ask them for guidance or what have you.
That was great. Please, yes, please. So for my nephew, I'm about to come a little harder. We heard some really good information today about AI, quantum computing. Most of you know who I work for. So when the young lady spoke earlier and she talked about the person who works at that big bank, I knew exactly who she was talking about because we run into each other all the time. And then the gentleman who spoke during the VIP said something about what comes in, what goes out. But normally what goes out, the people who own it, they don't want you to always know the good part of it. They want you to know the bad. So Mark, as you go forward in your next few years of building out beautiful products and how you're going to use AI, what's on your mind when it comes to AI or quantum computing or that next technology boom that you envision that you want to drive?
I want to own it.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to own it. I would love to build kind of like this digital twin technology where it literally creates a secondary AI replicated version of myself. Because I gotta sleep. And while I'm sleeping, it can be doing the work. And at the same token, it can give the world and go beyond where is it that I can go physically, spreading the knowledge that the world needs. The world doesn't need me physically. The world needs my mind, just like it needs yours. And for a long period of time, we've had companies that were creating AI, agentic tools, or whatever it is, or just training AI. And you kind of ask yourself, where were the Black folks at when all of this training was taking place? So yeah, I want to be on the next frontier of things. And I also want if the culture is willing to, I also want the culture to be on the forefront of that too, as well as being able to say that, hey, for once, we own that. We built that. So I'm going to kind of veer off on that answer. Is that okay?
Yeah. Rock out.
Last year summit, 27 millionaires were announced that I was introduced to from the Come Up series. 27. So far this year, I think I probably met 8 and probably 6 that are almost there, and then 4 that are on their way. And then I was approached by quite a few people that were asking me to, Art, would you be interested in creating a fund? And I thought about it. And then I thought about it some more. Corey, would you be willing to be our general counsel for this fund? And Chris, would you be willing to be one of the fund managers, given that you are series certified? And to the people in the room, would you want to be folks that are included in on this fund? You ain't transferring it to me.
What I was about to say is don't clap if you're lying.
Yeah.
Because one thing about Mark, I will say, when he and Chris and Corey put it together, they're going to say, we're launching this. Here's where you send the money. But here's the other thing. I don't want these people getting threats when they don't go the way you thought it was supposed to go.
So, yeah.
You don't call Vanguard and threaten their lives. You're not driving up in their neighborhood looking for them. It's called investing. It's a risk when you invest.
Yeah.
But if he's willing to put his neck on the line for that and try to drive it, so this time next year we're talking about this and we've succeeded, be a part of it. Go ahead, Mark.
So I'm going to let some cats out of the bag here. Dan Ives. You guys know of Dan Ives. So a while back, Dan was actually looking to start his fund or his ETF. Who do you think he called? You know, I don't say that to brag because, again, I don't bat 1,000. I just work hard and I try. For the past 5 years, I put the culture on my back. But I also realized I can't do it by myself anymore. So you're right. If that is something that we are going to execute on, like for me, like the biggest thing is what's made it hard for me to like endure is a lot of the things that I do, I don't feel supported in what I do. And I still do it in spite of. I just hope that if this is the thing that I do and that we build, that it doesn't go in vain. So Yeah, so that way I can invest in quantum projects for quantum-based venture funds. So that way we can invest in early stage seed startups and have access to those things. You know, shout outs to, a contact that we both know because, here's another nugget that I'll drop. Remember when I said that I was selling my Tesla position? So I sold that position, and then next thing you know, a contact at JP or at the firm hit me up of a round that was happening, which gave me access to investing into OpenAI's round. I've never done that before. It was very costly too. So I need them to go IPO. But yeah, so that's that's where my mindset is, everybody always says like, what's your number? My number is more. My number is definitely more. I'm here to literally, if I have to, replaster, repaint, or tear down the walls of venture and the markets, to which I hope that I succeeded there in that side, but also help not rewrite, but reconstruct exactly what it should look like and how it should be. So that's been the mission, literally making it so that way. Because if you go to Wall Street, it doesn't look like this. It looks nothing like this. But, it's crazy when you sit there amongst folks from Wall Street, and we've had it before, and you guys ask them more challenging questions than some of the folks that actually work on Wall Street do. To me, that's a win. So I want more wins, and I want to go bigger in wins. So if that's something that literally comes into fruition, I just want to know, is that something that I'll truly be supported with? Or is it just something yet again that essentially is like, okay, hey, great idea.
Let me see your hands. If you in, let me see your hands. Okay.
You know what they say, either take a photo or it didn't happen.
These are the receipts that we're going to keep. So if you don't want to be seen, put your hand down.
Oh yeah. I mean, to quote 35 in the NBA, y'all know who I am. So yeah.
And so I'm going to say something, and I know we started this morning, and Chris came up and spoke, and he eloquently took us through his thesis of how he works. I want to know, by the show of hands, how many of you guys have talked to Chris since he gave that speech today? And get your money right. And I'm not getting no money from Chris for saying this.
Yeah, we don't get affiliate links.
I just want to see, because
no, it's shade included.
Yeah. He shaded you. I didn't shade you, we got somebody from Chicago over here. I'm still a little nervous about, but anyway.
She ain't got razor blades in her inside of her.
You don't know.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah, cool.
You talk about a 30 clip with a switch. You don't understand what's been going on while you've been up on this stage. But anyway. but no, all jokes aside, and a number of you have asked me how I've done what I've done, and I will be honest with you. I actually took for granted when I first started investing that everybody knew about this. I'm from a little town in Louisiana nobody ever heard of. My parents taught me, and when I ran into Mark and Jolyn in 2020, I was just like, you mean to tell me other people don't know about investing in the stock market, 401k, whatever? And it opened up my eyes that I took it for granted. But what I should have thought about, and Mark hit on this, and everybody who's spoken, and Mark just said something earlier that Wall Street doesn't look like this. Many of you who have been in corporate walk into a lot of rooms sometime, and you're the only one in that room. But you've gone to school and graduated with people who look just like you, just as smart or smarter. Like, what happened? So, Jolyn, what I'm going to say for you, I mean, as an attorney, as a very
Retired.
Retired lady of leisure, but she's going to let you know she retired. But for you over the next, just say 6 months, I'm not going to even say for the next year, what's on your bucket list that you want to get done?
Next 6 months.
You can just say the next 3. I won't make you go out 6, but
No, I'm
So you're gonna let her do a quarterly report, and then you're gonna give me a year.
dude, I'm coming. These rules are out there. I'm coming for you for the whole year.
Okay, so for the next 3 to 6 months, really, y'all, if I'm being real, like my priorities really are, it's all family related. I just want to make sure that my family is good over these next 6 months. And I'm really looking at, wait, where's Angela? Is Angela in here? Okay, just making sure. Angela and I, we meet every Sunday, and we talk about just the things that we're working on, what our goals are. And part of that really looks like making sure that everything and everyone around me is aligned. I am in a cutting season where if it's not aligned, it's just, it got to go. And I think that will, as I'm in like my, I like to shave off, you know what I mean? Like we talk about that all the time. Okay. But yeah, that's really like these next months, because I'm looking at the last part of 2025. I mean, my mind is already in 2026. So I'm looking at, okay, what makes sense? What doesn't make sense? Or what makes sense? What doesn't make sense? What's consistent? Who's consistent? Because if you're in my life, if you have the privilege, I'll say not even the right, but the privilege to be in my presence, and if you're not aligned and you're not consistent, I'm sorry, I can't even be bothered.
We don't speak the same language.
Right. And there's just no point. So I'm not, wasting time. I don't want to play no games, none of that. I just really want to focus on what's aligned and making sure that my family is good. And shout out to my family, because my aunt is here. My favorite cousin is here. And my little sister is here. And that just means the world to me, to know that my family supports me, because not everyone's family is aligned, which is unfortunate. Some of us might have to cut our family members out, but I'm fortunate that that's not the case. So those are the main 2 things that are top of mind right now. It's not a financial goal. It's not really any of that. It's just the things that mean the most, that are going to be there regardless of how much money you have in your portfolio.
Thank you. I was prophetic. If you think about it, what she just said, do each of you look and see who's in your circle? What do they bring to your circle? What are they doing for you other than draining you to death? So Mark knows, and he started cutting some people a while ago.
I'm still here, guys.
I'm very efficient.
I'm glad I'm still around. Trust me, because I saw what he was going through, and you got to cut some people sometime. Family members, I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm gonna love you from afar. So, Mark, as we go into 2026, you gave your thesis. The one thing that you people gonna hold you to your thesis. Okay. If you had one thing in your thesis to rethink, to make a little change or so to, what would it be?
I would have added Figma and AppLove into my list.
Okay, he just gave it to you.
Yeah, I missed that. Mind you, like I've been operating off of very low, some sleep deprivation. So yeah, I would have added those two. But I mean, again, also I missed to add the slide. I could be very, very wrong. So those are the things that I missed that if I could go back and add it, I probably would have added it. But nah, everything that I said, I'm you know me well enough to know I stand on business. So I said what I said.
Okay, with that said, I'm all about order. So if you want to ask a question, start lining up over here. Start lining up over here.
Oh, we're good.
You good on?
Yeah, we're good.
Good on time.
Yeah.
So we're good on time, but I promise you guys we wouldn't talk too long, but I know you're fading. Some of you sleepy out there.
Can I say something?
Now
before we do that?
Yeah, you can go, please go right ahead.
So is it okay if I? So I'm not saying goodbye, but I'm not the person as it pertains to the markets for y'all anymore. And I know that Jolyn, when the time comes, there will be people that will be appointed, and preferably there were some pretty dope people that were here that gave some pretty solid insights. And I'll of course be a part of it because I mean, duh, FTC. But growth is calling for me, y'all. Like, you know, people only talk to me about the stock market, and I'm so much bigger than that. Like, understand, we were sitting here with a few VCs on the stage. That was $1 billion on one stage. So I can bring so much more. Like, so one of the things that I want to do moving forward is I want to start bringing my other world to you, if you will allow me to. And that world is startups. I want to start reviewing startups, just like how one of my favorite YouTubers is MKBHD or Marquez Brownlee, who reviews tech for consumers. I want to review startups for beginning founders, for just founders, period. I want to review like a round that was just raised. I want to do all of that. I want to bring on founders. I want to bring on venture capital because I believe that that's a whole part of the game that honestly is not being talked about. And yet that's like, do you guys have any idea what 1,000x looks like? Can your brain like think $1 million investment, like $1 million seed check turns into a 1,000x return? I mean, or like whether it's that company gets acquired or, you know, that company goes public. Like, there's so much more that I can give y'all. And I honestly believe that I'm doing you more of a disservice by just sitting here and just, you know, saying the same thing over and over and over. There's only so many presentations that I can give. There's only so many that I can do. And I just believe that there's so much more that I can bring to the world. So I'm stepping down from stock market and walking into my new future, which is startups. And I hope that you guys are along on that journey.
Introduce yourself and who this the question for. If it's for both of them, go for it.
Gotcha. Real quick, I'll make it quick. Everybody, I'm Daniel Hamner. I go by Dan the Barber on IG, and I I want to say thank you. I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. I want to give you both your flowers. I wanted to come here personally. I missed last year, but I said this year I'm gonna, I'm gonna make it happen. However, and it did. I'm here. All the information was amazing. It was great. I would like to say for everybody to take away. I started in my journey in 2017 with investing. I had to learn about compound interest. Once I learned about compound interest, the more you go down a rabbit hole with investing, you hear about things like, hey, how you can 1x your money or 2x. I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And I kept hearing about options. I never knew how to execute until Monroe. I found him on the Come Up series. And from there, from 2020 to 2025, me and my family, we are millionaires because of it was because of the information that I was able to receive. I put the money in the stock market. I got my retirement fund, and we also bought some commercial real estate. I'm saying this to say I duplicated his model, and I'm teaching my clients as they come in. We don't talk about sports. We don't talk. I show the Come Up series. I show things about investing. So. The biggest takeaway for me is just all this information that we all have today, just try to duplicate it. We have all the tools that we need, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Tamara Prescott. I started following Mark. Actually, I saw him on another show called EYL. Section. That's how I started finding out about Mark. And I wrote a letter to Jolyn and Mark years ago, and they invited me on the show. And I talked about my life a little bit. I'm a nurse. And what I want to tell you is that even when you're doing the right thing, people will attack you. After that show, I got attacked at work by one of my coworkers. And I was disabled for 2 years. But the devil is a lie. He's a lie. No matter what, you just keep fighting because you're doing the thing when you're getting attacked. Yeah. The devil doesn't want anything good for our community. That curse is broken. It has to go. And you just keep fighting and doing what you think is right and follow your heart, like all of us do, and do the right thing and fight for what you think is right and fight for your people. Because I got attacked a week after taking care of a patient who was a Black woman. She was only supposed to be in there for 3 days. And when I got her, she was in there for 3 weeks and she was dying. And I fought for her and they punished me for it. People will always try to punish you, but don't let them win by giving up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David King, and I also found the Come Up series around 2020, 2021. And I basically want to give Mark and Jolyn their flowers as well. I've been following for some time, and then in 2021, Mark gave us a play about buying NVIDIA. I bought a whole lot of NVIDIA, and he made me a millionaire as well. Oh, and so I always say, Mark, what he and Jolyn has been doing, they're doing the Lord's work. And also, I follow a lot of groups, so I'm not going to say I'm exclusive. But if you go back and watch the tape, if you really go back and watch 2020, you go to all the networks. Mark was a part of other networks. It's still on there because I go back and watch everything because there's a lot of gems across all the networks. And if you go back and watch this whole option thing, I'm a part of multiple groups. I can do math. Mark's option strategy is a part of all the strategies. It's just re-engineered math. It is what it is. And when I say Mark is doing the Lord's work, it's free 99. And so because of that, like the young lady said, you will be attacked because that's the devil doing his job. But I know emotionally, and we all go through things, and especially when you're doing the right thing and you feel you have to step away. I understand that mental health is a thing. So, I mean, I'm not trying to minimize anything you and Jolyn has went through, but I just want to let you know that you guys have changed lives, lots of lives. And because of that, in the place of the financial literacy space, you guys will have your place. I mean, because it's within the people's heart that we know what you have done. It's not what the other gurus say or how they put it out. And I'm not knocking any of it because I have learned a little bit from a lot. I'm just saying that, as a community, I mean, it's not a gang mentality. I mean, we're not Bloods and we're not Crips and we're not either that. I mean, we're just trying to get paid. I mean, it's just about money. It's against them. I mean, and if we stay into subdividing ourselves, I mean, the other side, I mean, they're already 2 or 3 generations ahead of us. So that's why I would say that, I respect your decision, if you're going to bring the startups to the world, but just know that your place in this space is already cemented. I mean, you're there.
Amen, amen, amen. Before the next question, I just want to say it's making me think of, the contributions and the ability to do that. And I would be remiss if I did not say that, doing this work and having someone like Mark to lock arms with and, be on our path and on our purpose, I don't take it lightly. And I just want to say that I don't even want to cry, but I truly, truly appreciate you, Mark. I love you. You are like my brother. And also, I can't even say it when I'm choked up, y'all. I also do just want to take the brief moment right now to just recognize all the people that have helped us to do this, allowed us to really contribute. So if all the partners from FTC would stand up, I would appreciate that. And really, a person who's been like my spiritual rock in all this is Felicia Morgan. If Felicia could stand up. I know I'm putting you on the spot. But Felicia is my girl. She has held me down. She has allowed me to be me, and she has done an excellent job of amplifying my beauty. And I just really appreciate you for that. As well as Jazzy in the back. I just want to just take a moment and thank you all, really, truly. Did we miss anyone? I think we got everyone.
I think we got everybody.
Thank you.
Jolyn and Mark, my name's Aaron Rogers. I had the pleasure of working with you. Can you hear me now?
I think is the mic on?
What did I tell you one? I think we're checking. 32 years of military. My brother, anytime, if ever there should ever come a day, someone would happen to make a mistake and make prayer about that. For anyone that was a cousin that was ordained by George Jolyn, I need you to know There's this wonderful thing called the Second Amendment that allows us to.
License to correct.
This is to correct. Okay? So with that being said, you all have changed more lives. I collected money. I did not invest money. You all showed me how to invest money. That made a difference. So it's not just one family, it's a host of families that have benefited from these lessons. I know they may seem mundane at times. I'm looking for level 2. I'm ready to go to level 2. But I need you to know the importance of level 1. What you all poured out to all of us, each and every day, it means the world to us. I got grandkids that are learning from what season 1 come up series looks like. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything you all are doing, everything you've done, and what's next. Right?
Thank you. Now hold up, man. This brother needs an asterisk. He better not come up here making us cry.
All right, so I'm cousin Tajay Burks.
All right. I'm cousin Tajay Burks. I'm cousin Taz. I haven't talked to Mark and Jolyn, let's say 3 years, but I pray over them every episode. I watch every episode.
Thank you.
They did so much for me and my family and my friends around me. I'm a cousin from day one. They freed me from prison. I was a correction officer and I hated it every day. Every day I used to cry going to work 16 hours a day.
And we aligned, me and Mark and Jolyn aligned, and I was like, Mark, I gotta get out of here, I gotta figure this out, I gotta get out of here. And he kept his hands around me. He taught me everything that I needed to know. And I taught my family. We paid for weddings, houses. I helped my friend retire in corrections.
All right now, brother.
I don't want to get emotional. I just want to say thank you. During the hard times, you think that people are praying on you, and like as far as being there by your side, we were always by your side. And you mean so much to us. You mean so, I told you I would give you a kidney. I named my first son Mark because of what.
I think Taz Jr. is better.
It's kind of confusing name, so I was like, I might name him Mark, so you know. But no, on a serious note, everybody, please, we must connect. And I think that's important because I'm an OG cousin and I've been through the mix with. We just all didn't connect, and we have power in unity. And I'm even blame myself. And I'm saying there's so much power in unity and how much stronger we can be. We have to come together now. We have to. Whether we all have something that we can give. And if we all give just that little bit of peace, and then we give a little bit more, we can do so much more. So I just want to say, because he's poured it all in everything. I watched them. We've had the conversations for hours. He poured everything he had into all of us. So we have to give it back. It's our duty to give it back. And that's all I ask.
You guys do have questions though for us though, right? I ain't trying to be all choked up and everything.
It's like no more stuff. So, Bible. I saw they put that in your list.
There you go.
Is that a hedge for the U.S. markets? Or do you think, is there an international company aside from Bible and Tencent that you had on that list that you could also see can be on that list? Maybe at JD.com?
I think that all of and somebody asked me a while back, how come I didn't create a new SIPs list, right? Because the original recipe is always better. So if you go back to the original SIPs list that has all those Chinese companies on it, I mean, they're still dope. So, and I think that they're also all being plugged and chugged into AI, or they already have. And, I think that we're probably going to see that their revenues grow. So, yeah. Whether it's JD, or some of the other players, PDD.
Oh, another one. So.
Need a nap, y'all. Y'all playing a game. At 6 o'clock, we shutting this thing down.
I was almost there since the beginning of everything. I was there for all the clubhouse. I was there trading, had that picture.
They still ain't paid me for that. They were supposed to pay me $25K for that because of the fact that we didn't, they were like, yeah, we'll send you like. So for those that don't know, E-Trade did a copy photo.
They took your likeness.
They took my likeness. And with the shades, back hat, because you guys know me with the cap to the back is like my signature with some shades on. At first, I thought it was me. Like even skin complexion was me, and people were like, "Yo, you're on E-Trade." I'm like, they didn't hit my line. They didn't look. Monroe Inc. didn't sign anything. So yeah, I still ain't got paid for that, but whatever. God bless.
But again, I just want to say thanks for breaking the generation of crazy. I think my favorite episode still to this day is that World of Your Portfolio episode. That's so good. Like maybe I will watch it every week. Like, first to be like speaking about it, like all that stuff was about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. Oh, no, I want to talk to you about the digital twin thing.
You want me to tell you the idea? Okay. Oh. Look, I tried to hook y'all up and he said no, so.
Y'all got 5 minutes. Don't you have 30 minutes?
First have a conversation, then when you have a direct conversation, you gotta have to come up with something. And I never really understood. I was talking about the trial the other day. Then I'm about there and look, $20,000 because I had no concept of oh, I could get something. I had to work.
And I told you that you were thinking too small.
Right. So 5 years later, I'm not actually doing it too.
Okay, Ian.
Hello, everybody. Who's out of Washington?
What's goody?
Yeah, Washington, did they go anywhere else? Black so all of us black people congregating for the culture, popping up a mark with the this man through all the internet, somebody I can call, Jolyn, I called her on the phone, just for that alone. Surprised. I can call him on the phone from, oh, I lost my money. What do I do? Or with big hits, or on the come up. When you're on the, everybody that supports is on the come up. The shame, everything that we've been through, all the ups and downs of the markets. Right. It's been a pleasure. It's been a journey. I'm locked in, so when you get that founded, I'll put my money in 100%. I just want to give my grace to Jolyn. Thank you, Uncle Trump. Thank you. And everybody that's out here, thank you for coming. That's not from Seattle. Because the guys for people like me from Seattle up in here, everybody's from Seattle right here. Okay. Everybody's not from Seattle right here.
Everybody who wants to possibly move to Seattle, raise your hand. Okay. Like I just said, there was $1 billion on the stage. Love you too, brother.
You gotta get my feet set up, all set up, like good, water ups and downs. And I'm ready to ride the web issue with the wheel.
Let's do it.
Man.
So basically, guys. Okay. I want to thank everyone for coming. We're gonna do a closing. We're gonna let Mark say whatever he has to say since he kind of already told us he was leaving, and go and do some tech stuff here, We're waiting on the tech stuff. Give us some dates when that's gonna come out, maybe. We waiting.
I mean, can I get some rest first?
Okay, you got a week.
I'm gonna need like a solid 2 weeks, y'all.
All right. Okay.
I mean, did you guys enjoy the summit? Good. I hope that you guys all receive value, because that's always at the tip of the forefront. It's always the tip of the spear for me. So if we have achieved that, if we didn't, I mean, you can send me a message. I'm always open to critiques. Look, I mean, as it pertains to what I said yesterday, I stand by it. It's the hill that I will die on. But take everything that came to play for all 3 of these days. If you really go back and look at your notes, I was doing a little mini TED talk this morning, before we actually got started. And, pretty much it all connects. If you really think about every session that transpired, they're all connected. And I was very much so intentional about that when it came down to every speaker, every session. They were all very intentful. It's not just the market, because the markets, I believe that a lot of you guys, the market. But now there's a whole nother giant that I'm preparing you for, that essentially that I need us to go out there and slay. And we're going to slay it together. Look, I didn't say anything. Like I said, there's no goodbyes for me. We just got to figure out exactly what does that look like for me to be able to function as a content creator still. And especially since the day-to-day work that I do at FTC, that's my job. Like, I report to all of those LPs, and my goal is to build value for that firm. And a part of that is, the beautiful thing about that is that the Come Up series is a part of FTC. We own a part of the Come Up series. So when I say it's not a goodbye, I'm not leaving. It's just going to be served in a different capacity for me, and one in which that I believe that I can go forth and do other things. Summit, look, that's Jolyn and them. They
Jolyn buying back as a speaker.
Look, they can just flash the signal in the sky, and you guys know, flash the signal in the sky, what happens? There you go. So I'm never gone forever. But yeah.
All right. So
that's it. That's all for y'all.
to close out, y'all, because I'm not playing about the snap at this food.
Yeah,
I really want to say thank you. And then I just want to do one thing. If we all can just stand up, and on the count of 3, we're just going to say 1, 2, 3, Tech Summit or Tech 12 Summit. Okay. I'm going to record y'all. Make it loud.
You doing a panoramic?
Someone is. Yeah, you want to do it?
Are you trying to do a video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, like a Tech 12 Summit. All right, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Tech 12 Summit.
And Russell Simmons, God bless you. Good night.
Check your hand.